You see, the reason you want to be better is the reason why you aren't. We aren't better because we want to be. Because the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Because all the do-gooders in the world, whether they're doing good for others or doing it for themselves, are troublemakers. On the basis of, kindly let me help you or you'll drown, said the monkey, putting the fish safely up a tree. We white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, British, German, American, have been on a rampage for the past 100 or more years to improve the world. We have given the benefits of our culture, our religion, our technology to everybody, except perhaps the Australian Aborigines. And we have insisted that they receive the benefits of our culture, even our political styles, our democracy. You better be democratic, or we'll shoot you. And having conferred these blessings all over the place, we wonder why everybody hates us. See, because sometimes doing good to others, and even doing good to oneself, is amazingly destructive. Because it's full of conceit. How do you know what's good for other people? How do you know what's good for you? If you say you want to improve, then you ought to know what's good for you. But obviously you don't, because if you did, you would be improved. So we don't know. It's like the problem of geneticists, which they face today. I went to a meeting of geneticists not so long ago where they gathered in a group of philosophers and theologians and said, now look here, we need help. We now are on the verge of figuring out how to breed any kind of human character we would want to have. We can give you saints, philosophers, scientists, great politicians, anything you want. Just tell us, what kind of human beings ought we to breed? So I said, how will those of us who are genetically unregenerate make up our minds what genetically generate people might be? Because I'm afraid very much that our selection of virtues may not work. It may be like, for example, this new kind of high-yield grain which is made and which is becoming ecologically destructive. When we interfere with the processes of nature and breed efficient plants and efficient animals, there's always some way in which we have to pay for it. And I can well see that eugenically produced human beings might be dreadful. We could have a plague of virtuous people. Do you realize that? Any animal considered in itself is virtuous. It does its thing. But in crowds, they're awful. Like a crowd of ants or locusts on the rampage. They're all perfectly good animals, but it's just too much. I could imagine a perfectly pestiferous mass of 1 million saints. So I said to these people, look, there's the only thing you can do. Just be sure that a vast variety of human beings is maintained. Don't, please, breed us down to a few excellent types. Excellent for what? We never know how circumstances are going to change and how our need for different kinds of people changes. At one time, we may need very individualistic and aggressive people. At another time, we may need very cooperative, team-working people. At another time, we may need people who are full of interest in dexterous manipulation of the external world. At another time, we may need people who explore into their own psychology and are introspective. There is no knowing. But the more varieties and the more skills we have, obviously, the better. So you see, here again, the problem comes out in genetics. We do not really know how to interfere with the way the world is. The way the world actually is an enormously complex, interrelated organism. The same problem arises in medicine because the body is a very complexly interrelated organism. And if you look at the body in a superficial way, you may see there's something wrong with it. Here's chickenpox. And there's spots that itch that come out all over the place. Well, you might say, well, spots are there, cut them off. So you kill the bug. Well, then you find you've got real problems. Because you have to introduce some bugs to kill the bug. It's like bringing rabbits into Australia. And that starts going all over the place and getting out of hand. Well, then you think, well, now wait a minute. It wasn't the bugs in the blood. There are bugs all over the place. What was wrong with this person that his blood system suddenly became vulnerable to those particular bugs? His resistance wasn't up. Therefore, what you should have given him was not an antibiotic, but vitamins. Okay, so we're going to build up his resistance. But resistance to what? I mean, you may build up resistance to this and this and this class of bugs, but then there's another one that loves that situation and comes right in. See, we always look at the human being medically in bits and pieces, because we have heart specialists, lung specialists, bone specialists, nerve specialists, and so on. And they each see the human being from their point of view. There are a few generalists, but they realize the human body is so complicated that no one mind can understand it. And furthermore, supposing we do succeed in healing all these people of their diseases, what do we then do about the population problem? I mean, we've stopped cholera, the black bubonic plague, we're getting the better of tuberculosis, we may fix cancer and heart disease. Then what will people die of? Well, then let's go on living. There'll be enormous quantities of us. Then we have to fix this birth thing. Pills for everybody. Then we find, what are the effects, the side effects of those pills? What are the psychological effects upon men and women of not breeding children in the usual way? We don't know. And what seems a good thing today, or yesterday, like DDT, turns out tomorrow to have been a disaster. What seemed in the moral and spiritual sphere, too, like great virtues in times past, are easily seen today as hideous evils. Let's take, for example, the Inquisition. In its own day, among Catholics, the Holy Inquisition was regarded as we today regard the practice of psychiatry. You see, you feel that in curing a person of cancer, almost anything is justified. The most complex operations, the most weird surgery, people suspended for days and days on end on the end of tubes with X-ray penetration, burning, or people undergoing shock treatment, people locked in the colorless, monotonous corridors of mental institutions. In all good faith, they knew that witchcraft and heresy were terrible things, awful plagues, imperiling people's souls forever and ever. So any means were justified to cure people of heresy. We don't change. We're doing the same thing today, but under different names. We can look back at those people and see how evil that was, but we can't see it in ourselves. So therefore, beware of virtue. Lao Tzu, the Chinese philosopher, said, the highest virtue is not virtue, and therefore really is virtue. But inferior virtue cannot let go of being virtuous, and therefore is not virtue. Translated in more of a periphrastic way, the highest virtue is not conscious of itself as virtue, and therefore really is virtue. Lower virtue is so self-conscious that it's not virtue. In other words, when you breathe, you don't congratulate yourself on being virtuous. But breathing is a great virtue. It's living. When you come out with beautiful eyes, blue or brown or green as the case may be, you don't congratulate yourself for having grown one of the most fabulous jewels on earth. So it's just eyes. And you don't account it a virtue. To see, to entertain the miracles of color and form, you say, oh, that's just... But that's real virtue. Virtue in the sense, the old sense of the word, as strength, as when we talk about the healing virtue of a plant. That's real virtue. But the other virtues are stuck on. They're ersatz, they're imitation virtues. And they usually create trouble. Because more diabolical things are done in the name of righteousness. And be assured that everybody of whatever nationality or political frame of mind or religion always goes to war with a sense of complete rightness. The other side is the devil. Our opponents, whether in China or Russia or Vietnam, have the same feeling of righteousness about what they're doing as we have on our side. And a plague on both houses. Because, as Confucius said, the goody-goodies are the thieves of virtue, which is the form of our own proverb, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Thank you, Alan Watts, for telling us that there is no hope and no options to take, as always.
That was by After School YouTube channel, After SKOOL. We recommend you subscribe to that channel. They do some good stuff.
If you guys want to see more content like this, we are definitely not sponsored and not working with them. We should contact After School and see what they're up to. But
and then they'll look at what we do in our live streams
and then completely reject us. Okay. But yeah, if you guys want to find similar content to this, there's with the animations. This is a great channel. It helps really illustrate things literally in real time, and it makes things a lot more digestible. But I figured, because we had that one petty complaint that I'm never going to let go of, that we need something educational to open up everything with.
There's your education.
We gave you the education, and it also makes a really good starting point for the conversations, because I know there's only so many dick jokes we can open up with before
we get dicked out.
We get dicked out. Impossible.
Impossible.
Yeah, man. Yeah, what's great about this is that we have been touching on this subject quite a bit, and I really enjoyed the part where he plays out what happens if there was the utopia of those, if everybody was just a saint, a virtuous person already, and we got rid of all the health problems, then inevitably it would just lead to overpopulation, which we have to find a way to solve that, and then it becomes even a bigger mess and all. But never thought about it in such a literal sense, but even practically it just wouldn't work at all.
He did a great job of predicting the future, I think, with armies of useless saints. I think that's what we have now. Clicktivism, virtue signaling, and it's not virtue, it's just cheap drive to win points in a narcissistic game.
I wonder when he said this, because he was popular around the hippie era, right?
60s, 70s.
Late 60s, early 70s. And I would say this talk is way more accurate now than it was probably back then.
Yeah. It does go to show that the issue of people who felt like they knew what was good for the rest of society goes back a long time. There's that quote from Nietzsche in Thus Spake Zarathustra, which is late 1800s. He wrote that. There's a whole poem called Tarantulas, where he talks about people who do virtuous and noble things in the name of charity, but secretly he knows that they're jealous and full of rage and resentment. But it's the masquerading as something good, but with nothing behind it. I think it's been a problem that's been with us for a long time, but probably the university complex has made it a broad-scale problem, and social media together. So you have this the explosion in the number of students who are brainwashed into this kind of mentality, and then they're allowed to engage in clicktivism, which gives us a false sense of the reality of what people really think and what they're really operating from, creates an echo chamber and re-brainwashes other people into the same wokeist gibberish.
Right. And like in my head, the furthest I went along the thought experiment was like, everyone's just going to be really boring if they're just the exact same, and it probably won't end up well. But I never thought about what the actual repercussions. I mean, occasionally I'll touch on it, but like, he goes really far to say, okay, if everyone's a saint, then what happens?
Right.
This and this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
Like the greatest thing is the overpopulation situation. So, for example, if we got rid of the whole virtue thing and it was strictly biological, let's get rid of all the diseases and all of the health problems. Okay, then what happens with the population? It's going to boom like crazy, and then we don't have enough resources from there. Then what happens after that? We have to figure out a way to like kill people? Like what?
You get to Huxley's Brave New World via Orwell's 1984, probably. So you need a hardline, totalitarianistic, fascist or communist takeover. It doesn't matter which, as long as they have jackboots to stamp on people's faces with. And then once you've won and you've broken the human spirit, you probably would let that evolve into the Brave New World scenario. People would be divided based on genetics, based on IQ. There would be a new class system, but you would be engineered into that class system, and you'd spend your life pleasuring yourself basically and just doing little of anything.
Are you describing what I'm doing nowadays?
You live in the Brave New World, Pierre.
Just
It's
sitting
you.
around pleasuring myself.
Sitting around somatizing yourself in your brave new world.
Yeah, I mean, but what are the other options? Because we know if you do try to put a few steps forward and applying your virtue to your external surroundings, it'll never end up well.
Yeah, well, I'd sort of feel like that sort of fake virtue that he's talking about is like a donkey with a carrot attached to its head. So they're constantly moving towards the carrot, not realizing that as they move forward, the carrot moves further away. But we function that way. I mean, for a certain class of humans who can only think to a certain level philosophically, and they never think long term enough, they think that they're moving towards the carrot. They never figure out the carrot's getting further away. That's how utopianism functions. All of this is run on utopianism. But imagine the staggering arrogance of the people involved. They think they know what's best for humanity. My God. Like all of humanity.
Yeah.
You, me, and everybody. They're like, no, we have the answer. No, you don't. No, you don't.
What I find ironic and quite funny is when you see the individuals that think they have the answers to everything from America, Western world, but when they look at some other developing nation, third world place, like they don't know what to do with how that culture lives because there's a dissonance of like, well, this culture here doesn't allow rights for turtles.
Yep.
But it's a different culture, so
What do you do?
what do I do? Do I tell them what to do, or do I just respect it? Wait, I can't respect it because it goes against my values, but then I can't...
Yeah. Well, Westerners typically would just say, you're not doing that, damn you. But then it didn't always work. It didn't always stick because you can't just kill the population, or you can just try and kill them and mutilate them and maim them. That's what a lot of the original Spanish conquistadors did in South America. I don't know, all over the place for centuries. You can try and do it that way, or you can try and hook people in with religion or money or medicine or science, but it doesn't always work. There's countless examples, as you rightly say, of people around the world who are like, we're not interested. We don't care about your medicine. We care about your stupid religion or your stupid money. That was one of the big problems in America when we hit North America. You're trying to trade with people and say, can I buy this piece of land from you? And they were like, you want to buy the land we're standing on? And they were like looking at each other going, these fucking white people are mental. It was like, what are they saying? They're trying to buy the land.
Yeah.
Like, what? Can I buy that square of sky as well? Can I buy that cloud?
I'm surprised they haven't even done that yet, though. We haven't.
Well, we
have
are. We're
monopolized
there.
the sky.
We're there now.
Oh, really?
With
Okay.
Elon Musk thrusting his
Oh, okay, there you
sperm-like
go.
satellites out into the atmosphere,
Got it.
jizzing
Okay.
on everything.
Nice.
That's the next phase, is who owns the satellite space and what level of space we'll have up there.
Yeah.
So we will own the sky eventually.
It's just almost as if Western imperialism is just innate in the blood. Like even if you want, like even with the intention of let's be tolerant and accept, and then make the utopian world, we just can't help to dominate. Like believe what we believe, even if you don't live where we are.
Yeah. It's kind of dominance via the back door, isn't it? So we
Yeah.
go, no, we're tolerating,
Yeah.
and you must tolerate. You go, well, what? What do you mean must tolerate? It's like enforced compassion at the end of a gun.
Yeah.
Be compassionate. It doesn't work like that, you freaks. How could it possibly?
Right.
So we never seem to be aware of the ideology that we're already soaked in, and therefore we never really escape it. It's like in psychology where people rag on Freud and they use Freudian principles to attack Freud, and I'm like, you'll never unstick yourself from this now. Like it's part of the very fabric of the way you're constructing words and concepts is now Freudian, and it always will be. So yeah, the empire building doesn't stop. The colonialism doesn't stop. Now it's a colonialism of ideas.
Right. And the thing is, it's like it's come around in such a discreet or very overt way at the same time, because it wasn't like Westerners just, well, I mean, still it happens, but Westerners just showed up on actual geographical land and was like pointing muskets and being like, believe what we say. It now it's coming about, like, you'll see it out here in the Czech Republic of like a certain sect of maybe younger Gen Z types that are just spewing what American thought is now. And it's like, wait, how did you get that when no one pointed a gun at you and no Americans showed up and said, believe what I believe? Now it's just kind of like found a way through the pores of the cultures.
Well, this is what Stalin warned against, you know. And
What did he say?
That was like
What did
communism.
Stalin say?
He said, keep it out, keep Western decadence and consumerism out. And then in 1988, I don't know how long after the collapse of communist control in 1988, the Czech Republic would have had its first McDonald's. So the colonialism would have begun with McDonald's and Coca-Cola, which the people would have welcomed with open arms, like, oh God, yeah, give us some of that good American stuff.
I talked to some of the people that lived here, and apparently they were really excited to see what American burgers tasted like. They're like, McDonald's and supermarkets, and they lined up for McDonald's for the first time, and they ate this shitty, sugary filled piece of wax burger, and they're like, this is what the Western freedom is. What is this garbage?
Yes. Welcome to your freedom.
Yes.
And it's cheap and it's fake. And it probably makes you very ill.
Yo, man, I will say the fast food out here is better than the fast food in America. Because I think some of the ingredients they put in the American stuff is illegal. So the fast food here has to work to better standards.
Somebody was saying that the other day. I can't remember what podcast I was listening to. It might have been Timcast, IRL, and they were trying to figure out if high fructose corn syrup is illegal here. It might be in the UK. So something that goes into a lot of American products, I think we're not allowed to put into the UK. We will eventually. France originally banned Red Bull. When Red Bull first came out, it wasn't allowed to be sold in France, but, you know, money wins at the end of the day.
Yo, man, like growing up in the States, a part of my brain is hooked to like enjoy some of that food. So sometimes I'm just craving like crack food. So, but the thing is, my taste buds have changed a lot over the years already. So if I eat like an Oreo now, it tastes like some fucking like styrofoam chocolate. You know,
Oreos are terrible.
Yeah. But then a part of my brain is like, oh, I kind of miss that like chemically plastic wax.
If you took it in your childhood, you'll always miss it.
Yeah.
So, like, for Brits, there'll be, like, beans on toast, which is something you probably never would have eaten. And it's garbage. It's absolute nonsense to eat.
Yeah.
But if your mum gave it to you when you were a kid, you probably will.
Hey, yo,
want it.
Hold on. Can you explain what the fuck that spotted dick thing is?
Yes.
What is that, dude?
When you have unprotected sex with a large number.
No, I already knew that. I was talking about the food. I have one.
Actually, I think it's time for your lotion. You're going to keep dabbing that lotion every 3 hours. Off the top of my head, I can't even remember what spotted dick is. I think I remember thinking it was tasty. There's a lot of traditional English food, like toad in the hole is tasty. Is like,
spotted dick and toad in the hole?
Yeah. What else do we have? We have a bunch of stuff. I don't really... I wasn't raised there, so I'm not massively connected to that stuff. Spotted dick. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Okay.
What is spotted dick?
While he looks up spotted dick, I know there was already a question in the chat, and I knew that a few of you would be questioning why Richard is dressed in Ibiza and I'm dressed in St. Petersburg right now.
Because people are genetically different.
Yes.
And we're living examples of that.
Yo,
please explain.
This boy over here needs the room at -3 Celsius. I need the room at 70 Fahrenheit California weather. And we have to leave the window open because he starts sweating, and I'm fucking freezing my ass off. So he's sitting near the window with a tank top on, and I'm furthest away from the window wearing a scarf and a leather jacket.
My genetics were mutated in dark, cold, icy lands in the far north. Beyond the wall, I'm a White Walker from beyond the wall. White from the Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I mean, oh, okay.
It's not like a biker gang. People in the chat will be like, finally he comes out. That's why he's got his hair done like that. He's one of those White Walkers. I mean, from Game of Thrones.
How would I justify my association with you if that were the case?
Just deny everything. Like, I don't know
him.
I don't know him. Guy. I felt sorry for him. I just let him in. It was cold outside, so I let him in.
Yeah,
but
the thing is like the thing with the sun.
Yeah.
Big.
It's huge, yeah.
Warm.
It's warm, yeah. It's pretty warm.
And the thing is, if there's a sun there, it's like the type of weather where you don't even know that it's there. Because it's warm. It's just there. And I never realized that how much temperature has actually affected me because I lived in California. So you'll get like really fucking hot days some days. 75% of the time, it's just like you don't even realize there's weather.
Yeah, you don't have weather much.
It's
not
just
up,
neutral.
Down, rain,
it's just
snow.
like a nothingness.
Yeah.
So, and then I came here, and I'm like, maybe I can't handle the cold as much as I thought I could.
It's just cold. We're at -9 degrees C here in Prague, and it's snow drifts outside.
Yeah, it hasn't really snowed out here in a long time. You see mountains on cars, and that's super foreign for a Californian. Like, that does not happen, man.
Oh, and when I last went to California, we went up to Julian and saw snow, and the babies played in the snow a little bit. That was cute.
Yeah.
They won't see snow again
Yo,
for a long time.
when I first saw the snow out here, it was like, I felt like 5 years old. I was like making snowballs on my own, just crying.
Yeah, crying. Did you? What happened when the cold got into your hands?
I stopped making the snowman.
At boarding school, when they sent me away to boarding school, I'd not really seen snow since I was a small kid because I've been raised in Portugal. So I was sent to boarding school and I was like, oh, snow. People make snowmen and have snow fights. So I went out and had snowmen and snow fights. And I was like, what's happened to my hands? Like, I'm in a lot of pain now. And everybody was going, don't you have gloves? I was like, no, there's no gloves in Portugal. We don't have fucking gloves.
Damn.
And then, it was extremely painful. The painful part I found was when I put my hands over a radiator and it comes back.
Yes.
Have you ever had that and it comes back?
I think so.
It's if you let your hands or any of your extremities get very, very cold and then you warm them up again rapidly, it's like the nerves go numb and then the nerves switch back on. It's incredibly painful, Pierre. Incredibly painful.
So can you wait until we completely reset society and start anew with no system, and then we have to stay out in the snow and the frigid, freezing weather and the blazing hot weather with no luxuries?
Can I deal with that?
Yeah, man. You gotta say fuck the system and just reset everything, right?
I don't know what I'm gonna do without air conditioning. I get hot very, very, very. I'm hot right now, but you're cold right now, right?
Oh, the scarf is doing well. A little bit of the cider, you know, we can warm in the face a little bit. It's nice. But remember we had that conversation where it's like, okay, we either probably find a way to adapt to the system, or we take the agenda of whatever new system wants to be put in, or a complete reset of fuck the system, let's start farming.
Wouldn't it be interesting if we were in the middle of a global conspiracy to put us into a system? I was looking at patent 2020-06-06-06 yesterday. That's a real patent. That's its real patent number. This is the movement for cryptocurrency patent that Bill Gates funded.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, when you move, you so that you can work and people can track your physical movements, and then you get paid cryptocurrency. Clever. So full matrix. And then I thought, there probably is something like that coming. What if we're too incompetent to put it in place, though? Like, we actually had little examples of that, small examples in the UK. They tried to do track and trace via the phones, which is something Matt Hancock has been on for 4 years. You can look at his Twitter feed, and he's been looking at talking about track and trace for years, way before the pandemic. And they tried to do it, and they failed. They just couldn't. The idea was there, they just couldn't get it to work. What if we're in like a bungled Illuminati conspiracy where they're dropping the ball? They're like, oh fuck, we had this perfect opportunity and screwed it up.
Well, definitely. Like the whole fucking Dogecoin GameStop shit was definitely not part of the plan. Like that, if I can actually confidently say some things that completely are outside of the global agenda, if there was one, it's those situations that pop up, and just complete human incompetence. Like they probably think if they exist, have the great plan mapped out. Maybe some things did work out, but the other half, the little fucking bugs in the matrix are definitely big enough to fuck up the game.
I think so. I'm going to become more vocal about lockdowns. I said I wasn't going to do anything. I changed my mind.
Yeah, well, I think the timing of you coming to that is with the collective consciousness, too. I think, the whole idea of collective consciousness and even collective unconsciousness has probably solidified to me more during this last year than ever. Like, it's really shown me the awareness that everybody kind of follows in waves. It's not just this complete separation of what everyone else is thinking. Like it really does feel like a wave where everybody comes to a certain conclusion and then a pushback and stuff like that. It really, you can just kind of sense it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I was so lost in what you were saying, I didn't have a reply.
Okay, well, let me continue.
At least that shows that I was listening to you.
Yes. But yeah, like the lockdown thing at this point, even with the mainstream public, not even just the general public at large, we've all, I think, collectively, you guys can, tell me in the comments here, but I think a lot of people are just becoming really skeptical. After the third and a half time out here, people are not giving a fuck anymore. Like, it's really like, is this really working? There is a better solution. What are you doing?
We like it's becoming for me, it's becoming irresponsible to not push back on this, and it's such an easy thing to do, to just be polite and reasonable and sane and just persistently publicly ask certain questions rather than just going, because like the Czech government just said, we're doing another 30 days of lockdown, here's a tweet to let you know, okay, bye.
Yeah.
It's like, can we talk? Like,
yeah.
Why is this now so easy for you to just go, yeah, we just decided we're doing this for another 30 days. Okay, bye. And no explanation, no pushback, no nothing. In the UK, the goalposts are changing daily. We have to vaccinate everybody. It's the most important thing to flatten the curve, and so we can get out of lockdown. We're vaccinating everybody. Can we come out of lockdown? Well, no. It's not that simple. There are variants. It's like, every time we're going to end this lockdown, you change the goalposts to another thing. So we need to start pushing back on that, and I'm going to do more of that.
Yeah, I mean, with the data and the countless amount of times that we are doing it, it's really hard to be like, okay, this is working. I mean, if anyone's really like, yeah, this is working, we need to do more of this. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Well, I went to Miami just recently, and it was no lockdown, and so I looked up the statistics the other day, and I'm like, are they building mass graves in Miami? Are their hospitals completely crashing under the weight of just a huge load of cases of people dying? No.
Yeah.
So, and I was staying in Carlsbad, where they had a full organized rebellion against the lockdown, and people were in restaurants and they were in bars within reason. See, the thing is, we can do things within reason. We can still, we can have no lockdown, but still guard the vulnerable, still guard people who are at risk. We can take precautions. But as I probably said this here before, if we're going to do that now, why didn't we always do it? We've lost tens of that in the UK.
Yeah.
Population 66 million. Every year we accept losing tens of millions of people to the flu. And if all it takes to stop that transmission is wash your hands and cover your face, which you do in Malaysia, like that's a cultural norm. Why don't we do it? I'm not advocating one side or the other. What I'm saying is why this change of stance now? Why is this suddenly the most important thing is that we can't let the old and vulnerable die? I'm like, but you've been letting the vulnerable die my whole life. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, no, that's a totally unacceptable. And if you question it, you're a monster who wants people to die. And I think that's what stops us from questioning it. So now I've just gone, okay, publicly people are going to call me a monster who want people to die. Can I live with that? And I'm like, oh yeah, well, I guess so.
You have more on your side now because we have enough time to statistically show the amount of children at the age of fucking 9 to elders that are literally killing themselves because of the results of the ever-imposing isolation that goes on for God knows how long. And the moment I feel like this goes on for a while, perhaps a lot more people would open their eyes to the situation, because now it's like, oh, do you care about the elders now for real?
Yeah.
What about the children now? Because they weren't dying as much before.
Yeah.
You probably killed more children from the lockdowns now than the actual COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to see more of that just rise as time goes on as well.
Well, if we're talking about, it's hard to quantify human suffering. It's impossible, and it's kind of like, but it's useful to try, even if it's distasteful. So if you did have like quantas of suffering, quantas of dukkha, then you would have to look at what are we imposing on those children, because those children will become adults. They have their lives ahead of them where they bear the burden, economic and systemic, of the lockdown. The old people don't. Am I a monster for saying that old people die? The first vaccine given in the UK was to an 84-year-old man who was on he had a very, very serious... He was on a dialysis machine because his liver was failing. And I'm like, homie's got 2 years at the best. At the best. Why? What are we trying to do? Did we forget that people, like old, frail people die? Disease is real. Viruses are real. What is this? Is it some sort of broad-scale somatic narcissism? Is it mass hysteria? What are we doing?
Well, as the yin in this situation, this is where me and Richard both differ. I would use virtue against the dialogue. So you're usually complete opposition, strike through with the bow and arrow type shit. I'll be like, okay, so if we use your logic of saving elders, I want to save children.
Right.
And that's how I would meet in the middle with this situation, because as you see from this video here, people only respond to the lack of purpose in their life. Some sort of virtue that they have to conceive. So you would have to fucking come up with some
That's good. That's
pseudo-empathetic theory.
That's great. This is like the structuring. We're now brainstorming the structuring of a political campaign.
Yeah.
So you can't. So you'd be
Oh
like,
yeah, we are.
You'd be like,
this is how it happens,
This is
yo.
how it happens. You watch the first. You'd be like, Richard, you can't go out and say end the lockdown because that's fighting talk. But you can go out and say save the children.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you lead with. Mm-hmm. So it's like the shield and the sword.
Yes.
You need this.
Yeah.
You need this.
Yeah,
On one
exactly.
side,
But
like, we're saving the children by ending the lockdown.
But right though, like I'm bringing that up as just a point and a counter argument that acknowledges the current dialogue, just because it seems like that's how the cultural dialogue would respond to this circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
But by using that same logic, they should also care about children as much as they care about elders with pre-existing conditions as well.
It's so evil what you're suggesting, because it's clever. I really like it, because you can't.
That's what I do on my channel, dude. I'll put it out there now. It's one of my main channel, guys.
This is ninja level psyops, because if I lead with, well, we're the Save the Children party, and you're like, we resist you, I'll be like, oh, so you want children to die again?
But that's how it. But see,
I'll play the same game they're playing.
Like,
oh, so you want old people to die, so you want young people to die.
But see, I don't want to exactly play that game. I think the whole thing is really absurd.
This is good. This is good boxing. I like
but that's
this
what
shit.
it is. You're the samurai here. I'm the fucking ninja. You strike through and what was it? Fucking Harikiri with honor, and I'll just sneak through the shadows, walk on the water with
Hit
this
with
stuff.
a poison dart.
You know, because
Save the children.
yeah, because I mean the whole fucking narrative is so hysterical and completely emotionally based that
Right.
like I mean, we have different ways of approaching this, but the way that I've found that just works with how I go about things naturally is that way.
Is not to walk up to people and punch them in the face.
Nah. I mean, I'll walk from behind, tap, and then leave. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, you know, and it's not even like, I'll do it in this like meta way too, where it's like I don't even necessarily, I'm fighting for a side. I'll just like, okay, if I were to take this line of thought that you have, then that means this too.
Yeah, you're taking their position to a logical conclusion.
Yeah.
And you're saying the old English expression, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if it's important over there, it should be important over here too, right?
But really, I'm on neither side, and I would rather just play VR. Like, I'd rather just box in virtual reality.
Yeah. And that should be remembered. You should hold that. That's what I try. That's why my equivalent for that is the psychedelic thing.
Yeah.
And be like, I'm not 100% convinced that this reality is the only reality, and this is really real. And that's what I try and hold to. I tried to do a dream quest the other night for this podcast.
What is it? Like lucid?
Yeah, so you go into like a trance state and do your breathing stuff, and then you try and have visions. And I got a couple of things out of it that I could share with people. But one of the big things I got from it is when you do this dream quest, riding the unconscious thing, as soon as you try and grab it to bring it back, it dies.
Yes.
You stop the trance dead. Because in my head I'm like, oh, yeah, got it. And they're like, how would you tell people that? Well, I would say, and then it's like the trance just goes ka-chunk.
Right. Yes. I actually used to lucid dream all the time. I don't know if I ever told you,
right?
But I was really deep into dreaming in general, and I got to that level where I never felt like I was sleeping anymore.
Okay.
So I just purposely I want to just stop dreaming overall.
Yeah.
But during that time period, I was getting to the levels of trying to manifest shit.
Yeah.
And how do you even put this into words? It's gonna sound like some fucking like pseudo guru shit.
No, it's fine. Just go there. Nobody gives a fuck anymore. The world's ending.
You can't put the thing that you want to manifest at the top of your conscious, like top of your brain.
It's good.
If I were to physically place it, when you place the thought
top
over here,
it
disappears and it won't work. If you have it like rest, like surfing in the back, like you don't attach a word to it, it's just there. Then you have to go about it in a way where you like open up a door. And then it's there, but you can't just be like, poof, ladybug. You know, it doesn't work like that.
Like let the ladybug float.
Yeah, you gotta be like, just the feeling of a ladybug kind of arises.
The sense of ladybugness.
Right. Yes.
I try to bring back what do you tell people about what it is you're doing when you're dream questing, and I got something that was okay. It was when you dream quest, you're using your body's brain, not your head brain, and your body's brain is always dreaming. And I was like, whoa, that's poetic. I like that.
One more time.
So when you dream quest, you're not using your head brain, you're using your body brain, and your body brain is always dreaming.
Okay.
So I was like, what am I doing, and how do I tell people to do this?
Okay.
And it was like, you slip into another realm of conscious. So by this idea, I like this idea. You're always in a trance state. You're always having visions, but you can't access them.
Yeah.
We're just so I'm not making visions come. I'm putting my head in the bucket where visions always are, and then pulling my head out.
Okay.
So my body brain is always having visions. Your body brain is always having visions.
So you can't exactly like manifest the pool of water, but realize that you are swimming in it.
Yeah.
Like you can't dive it. Like you shouldn't try diving into the pool, but you should kind of just float in it.
You float in it and you hold a single point of awareness as you bob along in the stream. It's not easy.
Yeah, this is
it's not easy.
Like,
how to trance with Richard and Pierre. How to dream quest.
I don't think I've ever talked about this publicly ever. This is the first time we've ever talked about shit like this. Actually,
No, it was intense. But I did manage to go in and out of it for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I realized I was ruining the trance experience, so I lost 80% of it. The other thing that it said was when you do the podcast, tell people not to fight on the behalf of thankless gods. And I got this vision of like people in a canyon, and we were fighting monsters, and some people were bearing the banner of a god, and when they fought, they'd get energy from that god. But some people weren't getting any energy. They were fighting on behalf of thankless gods.
Okay.
I was like, damn, that's crazy. I did just play that ninja game though, so it's slightly impacted by that.
It's a good game, huh?
That's a good game on Oculus. Yeah. What's it called?
Ninja Legends.
Ninja Legends.
I have to pee.
Yeah.
I'm warning you guys. Tiny ass bladder. Who wants to go first?
You go.
Okay.
You go.
Explain how to lucid dream.
Should I explain how to sign up to the OnlyFans account?
Yours or mine?
We're gonna do pee porn. This is why we can't get credible people to work with us. Okay, folks, hit me with a question. Let's go. Let's keep it weird. Make it one sentence long. Have it end in the squiggly question mark. Ting. Quickly. Richard, have you seen Waking Life? I did see that years ago. I'll watch it again. What do you think of Taoism? Wonderful. We're manifesting it all the time. Nightmares. Why? Unprocessed trauma sometimes. Have you read the teachings of Don Juan when I was 13? Should I read it again? Have you ever been married? I have not. I'm an intelligent man. Thoughts on cryptocurrency? I don't. When are you coming back to the UK? Most likely the 20th of this month. Things are not good in the UK at the moment. It's not moving in the same direction. But I promised David Icke's boys that I would go to their new studio that they've built in Derby on the 27th. And because I have to quarantine and retest, I have to go back 7 days before for that to happen. And I said I'd be there physically, so I'm going to do it. The problem is once I'm there, I can't leave again, which is rather annoying.
Okay, your turn? Or?
Yes.
Okay, you go this way.
I'm going pee.
Oh god, they can see the veil ripping.
Oh damn, we would rip through reality.
Hello, I'm Richard Grannon. Do you guys have any questions for me? Oh Lord, it looks like we're out of focus here. Oh good Lord. Hello. What was Richard talking about? I want to kind of hop on what he was saying there. Dude, here's the thing, man. Every time he comes here, he thinks it's like a sauna in this room. I have my heater cranked up completely. It's been negative 9 degrees Celsius. Richard needs the window open. So we're sitting here with the complete opposite. I don't even know how me and Richard get along so well. Like, on paper, this thing shouldn't work at all. But for some reason, it works. I don't know what it is. One sentence long and end it with a question mark, please. Is Richard even human? Sort of. He's a very muscular species. I'm not exactly familiar with that. Yes, if it's snowing outside and he's hot, it's a him problem. But I'm trying to be accommodating. You feel me? I'm trying to, like, make my guests feel welcome here. How are you feeling, P? I'm feeling all right. My face is kind of heating up. I'm in the middle of hot and cold. It's like being in a past relationship of mine. You know how it is. Notice me, senpai. Yes, I see you indeed. Do you believe in going with the flow? So that's a thing that me and Richard are kind of on the same page with, but also differing at the same time. I'm probably a bit more go with the flow because he's all about intention, like striking things head on, which I do as well. But sometimes the things that you desire and reality itself delivers things that you don't even know that you need by letting go completely. But if you practically want to start a business and have shit done, like, you can't just go with the flow. I'll argue with some of my friends all the time about that situation. It's like, you want to start a business? Oh, just let the universe do it for you. I don't think that works. There you are.
The universe don't give a fuck. No, you don't give a fuck. That's your stupid business. It's
careful.
big. It's the universe. Why would it care?
Yeah, exactly. Welcome back.
What are we talking about?
I was imitating you for a bit.
Can you talk with a Scouse accent? Can you say, hello, lad?
Hello. Oh, that's hard. Is it good?
Hello, lad.
Hello, lad.
Damn.
Yeah?
No. All right, mate.
All right, mate. Like
better.
if I sometimes talk like Shrek, it can kind of come out. No, it's bad.
He's
cringing.
Oh.
He's cringing. Okay, never mind. Fuck it.
You
do an American accent. You do a California one.
It's too easy.
Do a California one. Okay.
I want a bowl of kale.
Do a Vietnamese one. Which one? How about that? You cringe? Okay. How about I do it? You do a Vietnamese.
I actually was looking up how to pronounce something Vietnamese today.
Okay. We gotta balance it out. You gotta do a Vietnamese thing.
I have friends in London who are called Nguyen, but it's not pronounced, and they let me say Nguyen.
That's so wrong.
And it is pronounced
Nguyen.
Nguyen.
Oh, win.
Or just win.
Yeah. It's so soft. It's not Nguyen, but like win.
Nguyen.
Ah, okay.
Nguyen. It's close to Cantonese. That's why I can get. I can get there. But
okay.
some of the Cantonese people with their Vietnamese friends, they would also say, but they would speak with an English accent, so they'd say Nguyen. Okay. I'm like, why have we all... And then I watched BoJack Horseman, and he's chatting to his girlfriend and saying Nguyen. And I was like, why are they saying it wrong? And I had to look up Vietnamese, but I'm not doing Vietnamese
You want to know the real accent of pho?
Go on.
Pho.
Say again.
Pho.
Pho. What? Pho? What are you doing? Is he saying pho? Pho?
Yeah. Ăn pho. That means eat pho.
Ang pho.
Yeah, but it's like so tonal, dude. That's that's the ultimate Southern Vietnamese accent.
I can't hit that pho. Do it again.
Pho.
Pho.
Yeah, ăn pho.
Ang pho.
Yeah.
I'm not. Ang was okay, but pho.
Yo, it's a crazy language, man.
Ang
it's
pho.
like so fucking tonal. And then if you're from the South, it's like. It's weird because the Southern accents, like in America, kind of come out the same way as like Vietnamese Southern. Like you still got that twang.
It's got some twang to it.
You know, so
everywhere
like,
is like that.
That's weird, right? Why is
in the south of England, the farmers around Somerset and Dorset, they have a little twang as well.
But what is the twang thing? Like, why
it's
does
just magic? The world is just made
but
of magic.
why is it the more sun you get in the south, like
you have more
twang?
more,
Like,
more slang, more twang? Because Northern Italians and Southern Italians, they do the same thing.
Why is that?
Northern Spanish is more rigid and crisp, and Southern Spanish has got more of a slang twang to it. It's really weird. Really
I feel like if I tried analyzing it, it can come off as like not PC. But like, I'm really curious.
We can do that here. We don't really exist in this reality.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
we're
I mean,
beyond
we're on
politics.
a rooftop right now.
Yeah, we're beyond politics.
So wait, why is it okay? Like certain weather patterns and locations just have like a certain dialect. Like where do
people in colder countries work harder. That's actually.
you think so?
There's research for that.
Okay, because
But
they have to
more-
deal with the climate.
Yeah, more neurotic, more time focused, more uptight, and tend to work harder.
So like
So
they
the
got to be
close-
quicker with
yeah.
the.
Yeah, and lower resources. That was actually a Southern Italian psychologist, a Sicilian New Yorker, whose name evades me.
You know what's a great representation of this?
Zimbardo.
Uh,
Zimbardo.
Northern Russians and Southern Californians.
What the fuck? That's going to be some difference.
Okay,
How does that play on your life?
So cold ass Slavic nations, including Russia, too, like super direct. They probably don't talk. They usually don't talk that much, anyways. And if it is, it's just like to get to straight to the point without the fluff. Mm-hmm. Southern California got all the fucking time and sun in the world, baby. You better beat around that bush harder than the bush that I beaten last.
No more cider for you, Pierre.
Okay. I take that back. Never really happened. That was last week. No.
You've been bush beating Northern Russians, have you?
No, I got a job as a hedge trimmer. It's like Edward Scissorhands.
I see.
So I'm literally like beating up bushes like that. Anyways,
Beating up the bushes.
but like Southern Californians, they take so long to get to the point. You can go to New Yorkers with the cold weather. It's like, come on, let's get to the point. We got time. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Give me that ang pho again.
Ang pho.
Ang pho.
Yeah.
I can't do whatever you're doing. I can't make that sound.
Yo, dude, it's hard. It's really hard.
Did
Man.
I tell you I told my ex-girlfriend to molest me by mistake?
Oh God.
So Cantonese is tonal as well. There's 9 tones for everything. I'll get this wrong, but I wanted her to teach me something, and I said "meze, fai di gao ngo," but I didn't. I said "gao, gao, gao" wrong, and apparently I said "quickly, molest me" instead of "quickly teach me."
Yeah, I don't know who decided.
So she did. No,
Yeah, I don't know who decided the meanings between similar sounding words in Southeast Asian languages, but
Yeah.
Vietnamese has the same thing. I could say it, but like, fuck it, whatever.
What's the word for 9 in Vietnamese?
Wait, Jin?
Jin, is it? Okay.
But like, the word for dick also sounds exactly like 10 other words.
Oh yeah.
So you can
What's dick?
You can just accidentally insert a dick anywhere.
Cool.
You know?
I'm going to Vietnam. What's dick? Go on.
Go.
Go.
Yeah, it's like a soft C, like go.
Go.
Yeah, but it's like go.
And what are the different go? What are
I don't
they?
know all of them.
Okay. So
I'm not a go master. So
So for guai, if you want to say in Cantonese, like disgraceful white person, it's like a racial slur. It's guai lo, but then guai is also kneel, expensive, cupboard, and something else. So there's been a number of times where I've thought that like Cantonese speakers, they were chatting about me, and then I was like, what did they just say about guais? And then the auntie was like, my watch is guai, it was expensive. I'm like, hey, oh okay, it's your watch.
So even a more dangerous example of that, I think in Korean, what's the language of Indonesia? What's
Indonesian.
Indonesian? Okay, just in case. They have a word that sounds a lot like the N-word, like the derogatory N-word.
I know it. They have it in Malaysia as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
So,
But it's like with a
yeah, there's some tonality or whatever.
Yeah,
You'll
yeah.
hear it in K-pop songs all the time, the N-word
Yes.
too.
Okay.
And that has led to a lot of misunderstandings. Like there's a video. Yo.
Well, they go sometimes into English for a few bars, don't they?
Oh
It's like,
yeah,
I love
yeah.
you, baby, and then something
because
Korean.
it's so clear, and the production on K-pop
Right.
is so clear
Yeah.
and like crisp
Yeah.
that you couldn't deny that like, they just said that, dude. But yeah, there's videos of people like on buses getting fucking angry in Korea just because like
they think that somebody's saying
right. So
What do you know what the word actually means? Do you know what it's referring to?
it's like some common word like the.
Okay.
Like the worst word you could possibly
So
substitute.
you have two
it
people
for.
behind you just saying it over and over,
Yeah.
and you'd be like, "What the fuck? I can hear you." I had that with Guai. I had it loads of times with Guai. I'm like, "Who the fuck is saying Guai? You
Yeah.
call me a Guai lo? What are you saying?" And
So
then,
did you live there long enough to like know the terminology enough that you could actually take offense to this shit? Like if you heard that around you, like could you be like,
I got to the point. This was back in 2008, where I could hold a restaurant level conversation in Cantonese. So my Cantonese got okay. Good enough to be like people be like, "Oh wow, you actually can speak."
so the word means I.
I
Yeah,
I went to the supermarket. I saw this person there.
That could get you in a lot of fucking trouble. But I think what's interesting about that is it's only really a problem of the recent common times of how everything is so linked together now. I mean, I made a video on this woman who went to Bali, and long story short, she was evading taxes and shit. And then when she got kicked out, she was like, "Oh, it's because I'm black." Da, 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 da. But a lot of these situations are really of recent times. Just the conversation of what's okay here and what's not okay here. Do we apply this like cultural narrative to one place to the other? What's okay here, what's not okay there? You know what I mean? Like before it was just people of that nation,
Right.
but now it's like, whoa, like what is this line? What is this? Yeah.
Yeah. It's tricky. You have to be patient. You can't afford
Yeah.
to be paranoid.
Right. Are we not being patient enough?
You know, the way I would frame it is sort of much more fearful. We're not courageous enough.
Yeah.
We're not courageous. So when you see the psychological term is xenophobia, the fear of the other, the fear of the strange, I think it's an immune system fear. You're like, I'm not strong enough for my immune system individually, collectively, culturally is not strong enough to deal with this. So there's a fear of being infected with a disease or colonized and taken over. So that's the natural fear. And I think it applies in politics as well. When you're like trying to police people's words and thoughts, it's a lack of confidence in your own belief system. It's a lack of confidence in your own immune system to go, no, I know what I believe, and I'm flexible enough and resilient enough to deal with foreign input. Foreign input is frightening. If you're not used to it, it is frightening. It is frightening.
This is one thing that I've thought for a while. I've briefly touched on it on my videos too. And I have to be very careful of how I word it, just because it can come off like I'm pushing some other sort of agenda. But the point is like, there hasn't been a time in history where we just have access to every single culture in existence, and you can immediately communicate with any other nationality or culture at any time, ever. Our brains have never had that input.
No.
Ever.
No.
Ever.
No. And so you see like early examples of people becoming fascinated with another culture. There's like famous examples especially in the English upper classes where they had the time and the resources for it. You had this like Orientalism for a time where it was completely fetishized, and we look back on it very unkindly. Like, it's not really racist, but
It's just kind of weird.
It's cringy.
Yeah.
It's fucking cringy, of course. But so much of human endeavor is cringy. Everything that's not within this bandwidth is fucking cringe. Yeah, but it was innocent.
Right.
Of course they were fascinated.
Yeah.
They'd never been exposed to, Aleister Crowley was into Orientalism for a while. But when it's fresh and it's new, and all you've had is English, French, European literature into American literature, and the world is opened up over here, you might get a little carried away, kid.
Yo, that's why I'm like pretty lenient with K-pop comments. because
Right.
it's still new. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, what can I do? As long as it's sort of coming with good intentions, I look at that. But I try to be very graceful with these circumstances, just because there hasn't been a time in human history similar to the time now where every single different foreign influence, different type of novelty is just easily accessible. I think on my end, I'm just used to experiencing new shit all the time, so my brain has developed a pattern to learn how to
You have
accept
a strong
those
immune
things.
system. You have a strong psychological immune system. This is what we're saying with Potent. We're talking about travel with Potent. Oh God, somebody said it. It might have been Terence McKenna was actually cited travel as a form of psychedelic, because psychedelic is not just drug. It's anything that's mind expanding. So the exposure to foreign cultures, and not just meeting them for an afternoon, but you here living in Prague. You've done it for years. Your unconscious observes you surrounded by people who are very different culturally to you. You didn't die, and nobody killed you, and you didn't try and kill anyone. So it's okay. Me in Malaysia, living out in the happy garden in the place there. I didn't die. It wasn't fun. And so you end up with a sense of I probably can do this, where the fearful hysterical response would otherwise be, I can't do this. I can't fucking handle this. And then it's fear, and then behind fear commonly is aggression.
So with this whole virtue thing from the intro video, and trying to push this saintly thing, and diversity being one of them, why is it coming off so awkward?
Because a lot of these people haven't traveled.
Okay.
So we're being lectured to about accepting cultures by people who haven't accepted cultures.
That's it, right?
And we know it.
Yeah, that's
You're
it.
sat there, you're looking, and you're going, accepting other... What do you know about that?
Yeah.
Show me your friend list. Let me see your WhatsApp. Who are you messaging? Never mind who you claim to be friends with.
You know what it is? It's like a professor trying to teach like some outdated dance move through a book. Like, here's the electric slide.
Yeah.
One to the right, and then to the left.
Yeah.
And then to the right.
Yeah.
When it's like, you should just go to a club and just actually know.
It's cringy, because this is what Alan Watts was saying with that video, is it's not authentic. It's like the Lao Tzu principle. Virtue which shows up as virtue is never really virtue. Because if it's showing up as virtue, that's not virtuous. Look at me and how awesome I am. No, fuck it, just be that. And then we'll feel it, we'll know. Real recognizes real, as they say.
Yes.
And it's body brain. That's body brain activated. It's unconscious activated. I know that this is authentic. I feel it.
Okay, that's a great thing to dive in on, actually. Body brain, would you say that's like intuition as well?
Yeah. It's your animal instinct.
How do you quantify that? Because that's how I operate, but
Right.
I'm very careful to talk about it because it's so easily misconstrued. And how do you speak about a thing like that in a tangible way that's actually practical with good intentions? Because that could be easily misinterpreted in a lot of ways.
I have something to say about that.
Okay.
Following the washing machine that 2020 was, where everything really rattled us up, and some things didn't change and some things changed dramatically. I'm no longer obsessed with the idea of trying to convince people that I'm coming from a rational scientific mindset.
Okay.
Because I'm not. I don't believe anymore. I mean, if you followed the science of the last year, what will you see? A paper trail of corruption and just money grubbing, and it's awful. It's agenda fueled nonsense. So I don't bother with it. I'm like, if you feel it, it's as real for you as anything else is. If you feel it and it moves your emotions and it's part of your authentic subjective experience.
See, I completely agree, but at the same time, knowing how people are operating with that false guide, the false body brain, but who am I to say that it's false though? Because the people in that video are following what they feel is right for them, and that's generally very emotionally based too.
If I can nitpick, they're probably following what they think, not what they feel. These are people who are emotionally constipated. They're not feelers, they're thinkers. They're stuck in the crown chakra, man. They need all the chakras right the way down to the base, aligned, functioning, flowing, and they're up here. So in order to make a simulacra of feeling and authentic intuition, you have brain stuff.
Right.
That's where you jerk off, up here in the brain.
Yes. Because I think it's the reason why you generally don't even talk about it as much, same as me, because the repercussions of somebody misinterpreting what you mean by following intuition and body brain can easily be like, so I got back with my ex.
Which is great, and I thanks for opening that whole subject up. It's not a counter argument, it's my logical conclusion. There is literally nothing you can say to a person who's on the spectrum of psychosis and emotional dysregulation that they can't misuse. You can say, and I have said, hydrating is good for you. And then somebody will say, if you drink too much, you'll get encephalitis and your brain will swell up and you'll die. Vitamin D is good, but if you get in the sun, you'll burn and you'll get skin. And it's like, there's nothing can be said that can't be attacked.
Okay. That's a great counter argument, man. That's really good.
So it frees us up. We're going to get attacked. Just fucking say it. Fuck it. Like what? Somebody's going to call you a kitten drowner. Somebody who knows that you're not guilty of the thing that they're accusing you of is going to accuse you of it in bad faith. Thank you, God Sad and Brett or Eric Weinstein comes back to that all the time. The one with the beard. They're arguing from bad faith, so don't worry about it. They don't mean it. Even they don't believe that shit. So nobody believes it.
But even the people in good faith, too. That's how you see these really misled cults that end up being in a very abusive situation too. They, in their own mind, they thought they were following their own unconditionally loving intuition as well, but it was completely misled. Where does that lie in the situation?
Some people be dumb.
Yeah, but you can't just be like, yo, be smarter to everybody, right? Like,
you can't save everyone.
Okay.
You can't. And that's something that would, again, feed back to the Alan Watts video. And I think Alan Watts would agree with me. I damn sure know that Nietzsche would agree with me. It's a fool's errand to think you're going to save everybody.
Right,
Some people don't. They don't want to do their shadow work. They don't want to individuate. They don't want to explore the unconscious and get better. They just want to win. They want a thing. They want more money. They want more status. And they're operating in like a different paradigm of consciousness, like 2D, 3D consciousness. And that's it. And from that paradigm, you can attack anything in politics, science, art. You're just an attack drone, really, because, you want to win. And you win by making other people lose. So you're constantly attacking.
So the idea of winning, I think we can fairly say it's attributed to mostly Western patterns of thinking. And I really love this field of thought with the types of intuition, metaphysical stuff as well. But to see where it can properly aligned in the Western world, which I'm a part of, I'm a huge result of it as well, and I love it actually, and I have problems with it still. But my problem with a lot of it is like every time I see this side of thinking applied to the West, I have rarely ever seen it work right correctly. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's a way to properly integrate in that sense?
This line of thinking,
like the whole metaphysical. I mean, I don't want to say New Age necessarily, but like the intuitive approach to things. It will be properly
integrated by less than 2% of the population.
Right.
And that's enough.
Okay.
That's enough. If we bang that drum, I believe, like if humanity bangs that drum long enough and loud enough, like I just did a video just last night where I was talking about shadow work and Jungian integration, and I jokingly said this should be taught in schools, because by the time you're my age and you start doing shadow work, sorry to break it to you kids, but like I'll never individuate in this lifetime. I can walk along that path. But if I was taught that as a kid, instead of the gross national product of Guatemala, I would have been able to get there. So I think some battles you fight knowing that you can't really win, but you might get somewhere in the right direction. And at least you tried. At least you pushed it in the right direction.
Okay, what about individually? Where can you apply these forms of thought in a way that's fairly more, I guess, reasonable and practical, where I think I in my life, I've completely swung on the opposite side of the pendulum here, where I was completely on this side of thought. Didn't realize it didn't really work in, I mean, fucking late consumer capitalism in California, and I just completely got rid of that, restructured my brain to adapt to Western forms of success. And then now I think, okay, well, I guess I'm sort of there now. Perhaps now it's time to dive back in it. But where would it be appropriate exactly in an individual case?
That's like a question best answered by Taoism. It's all in the balance. You got to have the balance.
Yeah. Right.
You need yin, you need yang. You got to be reasonable. You have to be rational. To challenge yourself, you have to operate within a structure and discipline. Be masculine, and you have to question, put things in the light, and then you have to swim in the yin. You have to just let go and just go into the realm of pure potentiality where you disappear. Your ego can't survive there, so it's a lovely little break from the ego. And we need, generally culturally, we need more. We do need more structure. We do need more discipline at the top level so we can hold yin. But behind that, what we're massively missing is yin. We're massively missing is yin. That's why we're constantly obsessed with safe spaces, because we don't say yin is a safe space, but we don't have it. We don't have access to it. So we're like, create a safe space, create a safe space. It's artificial because we're not getting the authentic safe space of yin. But you can't go full yin from where we are right now.
Okay.
You have to go masculine structure first to get to yin.
It's basically trying to create a safe space through construction, like building a fortress with guns and machine guns and arrows.
That's it.
Which is not exactly safe because the threat of danger is always around as well.
And you're covering yourself in armor and padding, and you're covering the environment in armor and padding. You go, this is safe. No.
Okay.
Your safety comes from strength. Your safety comes from security. And what holds the yin space? A wall. The cave wall. So we need yang holding yin. We need yang keeping yin safe. If yang is strong and the structure is built, now we can release. We can go yin. But if yang is weak, then yin is unstable. And that's what we have now. Weak yang and unstable yin. And it's frantic. It's a hysterical energy that comes from that, because it's like, make me safe, you fucks. This is your job, but it's not happening. Yang isn't doing its job, he said in code.
I think this sort of ties into it. So recently I've been having the thought of, ever since I got this VR shit, I've been actually exercising. Hey guys, everyone has their own temperament. I started doing hard cardio and exercise through virtual reality. This disciplined motherfucker does it for fun by itself. Just lifting shit. Like, what? I need goggles. So I'm boxing a lot more and doing a lot of these more rigorous things, which inevitably produces more testosterone. And I'm fucking like getting a lot more like, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking now, the placement of primal energies in the current state of the world, is there a place for it? Should there be a place? And where would it be? Because right now, as well as including the current petty YouTube drama that I'm into, I see this like competitive hierarchical struggle. This kind of like archetypal fucking battle warrior, type of competitive nature that I've really omitted in my life for a very long time. And it feels good for a bit, And I don't know, like, in the collective scheme of things, or even just in my circumstance, like, is that supposed to be there? Should it be? And do we acknowledge it? Do we fight against it? What do we do with that?
With testosterone?
I mean, if you want to boil it down to that, sure.
Everything that we have that is within us can potentially save us if it is directed with nobility and based on value. So if we're operating from values, we're using reason, and we direct the energy and we express it, beautiful things would happen. If we suppress it and we're not coming from value, then all we have is power, non-directed, and it can be used to hurt.
I feel like this conversation should be held in 2 kimonos.
Yes.
And you're the lead samurai, but then that would be appropriation, so never mind. Maybe I'll just be in the kimono, and then you'll just be like...
But why is that okay? That's kind of racism if you think about it. Because You're not actually Japanese.
That's the thing, though. So that's.
But how dumb do white people look at
But that's. Hey, you're revealing my ninja secrets right now. Because one of the things that I wanted to do was rock some Japanese garb, and then see if people accept it or not, and be like, wait, why didn't you guys call me for appropriation? Because technically, you couldn't tell
that's
if
racist.
I'm fucking Japanese or not.
That's racist. That would be racist. For failing to call you out, they'd be like, well, aren't you just from there?
Yes, yeah.
What do you mean there? There.
Right. So I wanted to just like wear like really stereotypically Asian garb, and then no one could tell the difference. And I'd be like, oh, where's my... What happened? I thought you could be...
There is crossover between traditional Vietnamese wear and some Japanese wear, though, isn't there? The big hats.
The ao dai, traditional Vietnamese.
Ao dai.
Yo, nice.
Where's my ao dai?
Nice.
The drunker I get, the easier it is.
Yes, yeah, right? Yeah, bro. Okay, so before we get too carried away with appropriation, and people get nervous, I'm sure I can feel the adrenaline surging.
I love it. I fucking love it.
So,
but I like doing it with white people because they get way more frightened. I did this to my cousin once on a podcast, and we were talking about immigrants and immigration, and he was shaking. He was actually shaking, and I was like, what's your problem? Why can't I say the word immigrant? And he was like, I don't want to be in public with you saying that.
Can you? Okay, are you willing to say what conversations you had in California with bringing up me, or no?
Yeah, fine.
Say it.
Which conversation?
It was like, oh, that guy you know.
Oh,
you know
yeah. Oh.
Or no, we don't.
No, it's fine. You mean where people won't give you any identifying traits?
Yeah.
There's just your friend from Prague. They might be like, but I've done that. I've gone to restaurants here where you already sat down, and I'll be like, I'm looking for my friend, the tall guy, because I don't want to make Czechs uncomfortable by being like the Asian dude in makeup. Because they just be, I did do that a few times. They're like,
Did you get nervous?
A little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, in California, I had a few. It was all guys actually saying to me, "Oh, so who's your friend?" And I go, "Who?" I'd just be a dick. I'd just be like, "Don't know who you mean." Who?
Terrible.
Who? Identify him. Give me an identifying coordinate.
Terrible.
Go on, I dare you to say the one with makeup. I dare you to say the Asian fellow. Go on, say it, you bloody racist.
The thing is, my pure existence is just a loaded question answer for them, because they would either risk misgender, miss nationality, miss fucking like everything.
Isn't it interesting how much fascination though you give to like these dudes are all like 30 in their 30s, early 30s, like white guys, and they're like, so who's I don't know why'd you
who's the guy
one guy actually made a point of saying, who are they? Who is that? And I'm like, you mean Pierre?
Is the one person?
The one person you've seen me on videos with. Who is they? Do you mean Zer? Excuse me. I should have. I think you mean Zer. I'm being really shitty about it.
Dude, people are sweating, I'm sure, listening to this shit.
It's the end of the world.
It's great. But it's good because I'm on your side.
Yes. I just wanted to say about, you're talking about wearing Japanese clothes. When I was a kid, I was big into traditional martial arts, karate, judo, aikido, and ninjutsu. And in Birkenhead, the ninjutsu club there, they would literally wear black, the hands, the tabi, the split, and then go to a sports hall in fucking Birkenhead. And I'd be like, aren't ninjas supposed to blend into the fucking background? And they were bikers as well. Okay. Beards, long hair, in fucking black with like Japanese emblems on them with ninja staffs. And I'm like, you're not ninjaing here, guys.
Yeah, right.
And for years, I couldn't understand why I hated it so much. I refused to wear the Aikido hakama, and so they wouldn't grade me. I refused to wear the ninja suit. I wore a black tracksuit. They wouldn't grade me either. And I was like, why am I... Like, what's wrong with me? Like, am I... Like, do I have oppositional defiance? Why won't I do it? And then I thought, how would you feel if you saw a bunch of Japanese guys dressed as knights, talking in shit English, and pretending to fight with old medieval swords? And I'm like, there it is. That's why I'm not doing it. I don't want to be that guy. I'm sure there are Japanese guys who do
That could
that.
have been fun though, man.
You know, I just a final point. I did actually learn quite. You would have liked it actually with both the Aikido and the Ninjutsu school. I'm getting back into my martial arts recently.
Cool.
What you learn, because they use weapons first, and then you learn unarmed combat second. And reminded of it by playing the silly.
I was gonna bring it up. Is it you get back into martial arts because of virtual reality? Yes, you did.
Probably the boxing and the. I was actually watching boxing videos last night because of this silly boxing game.
Me too. I started learning actual form, dude.
I was watching Canelo techniques to do this.
Okay.
But what you learn with the weapons thing, this isn't a martial arts podcast, but you move so much better and so much faster when you go from weapons to unarmed, because carrying a weapon is a lot more for your brain to do.
Okay.
It improves your stance, it improves your timing, your hand-to-eye coordination and everything. And we actually did a battle. This is what nerds we were.
Yeah.
In the ninjutsu school, we went out to Wales. We met another ninjutsu school, and we had wooden staff and wooden swords. When you watch battles in films and you see two armies come together and they smash into each other and they fight with each other, we apparently historians don't know how that ever played out, because physically it's fucking impossible. You kill each other.
So there's a clip in, guess out of all U.S. states where this occurred.
Go on.
Texas.
Thank you,
In
Texas.
Texas, I'm sure. I think it's Texas, or a place really similar to Texas. They held night battles. So they would be dressed up in actual fucking armor.
The real plate armor. They're probably making it in Texas.
No, like real armor though, like fucking steel and shit. And I think the swords were like doled or something, and they're actually going at it.
Yeah.
But it's so clumsy.
Yes, it's a mess.
Fucking clumsy.
It's a
like
mess.
it's literally like toddler stomp, like stepping onto each other. Like, it's not like any techniques that you'll actually see ever.
We had 2 prescribed moves for this battle. It wasn't even improvised. Like, you were allowed to do this or this, and inside of 15 minutes we had to stop because of the split eyebrows, people getting whacked in the mouth. So
You just die.
I'd swing my sword backwards into your head.
Yeah, you would
I was
die.
getting hit by my own. It's
Right.
a mess. It's a mess.
I mean, how many people accidentally killed themselves doing that, right?
or got trampled on, or so.
Right.
When we see these big movies, ever since I did that, I was 16 when I did that. You see Braveheart, you see the 300, you see it can't have been like that, because everybody on your side, you would kill your own people just through crushing them.
Right.
So I don't know how they did it. Maybe it was, some historians have suggested that these big battles that we talk about, they might have been more like glorified shoving contests. And you turn up, you sing your song, you shout, and then you look at the enemy and you go, sort of push against them a bit, go, run away. And then you go home and tell the wife, you're like, we had a bad fight today, you know, we beat them. And all you did was shove them a bit until they went, we've had enough.
Yes.
You win, lads.
So my question is, before I go pee real quick though, again,
I'm going pee.
yes, does this battle warrior man testosterone talk,
Yeah, we were on testosterone for a second.
does this have a place in the current world that we exist in right now? And I have to go pee. As the true warrior,
I won't answer that until you get back.
as the true warrior I am, I must urinate on the throne.
Okay, guys, hit me with a question. 1 sentence long. End it in a question mark. Cyberpunk says, "Everyone wish Pierre to have a good pee." Namyo Horenge Kyo. I remember when I was doing martial arts, it was the best thing for my mental health, but physically it trashed my knees and feet. Yes, it can be hard. Is there actually a plan behind all of this, or is it just opportunistic NPD gaslighting, the last act of a desperate narrative before it switches to another random method of attempted control? There is a plan, and there are conspiracies. I am not convinced that there's an overarching plan and everybody signed up to it. I think that would be extremely unlikely. But conspiracy in root is con, which means with, and spire, which means breathe. So it's people who come together to do things. It also means with nefarious intent. And there's definitely conspiracies if we follow the definition of conspiracy. It's people coming together, lining each other's pockets, lining their own pockets, giving each other government contracts that are worth millions and millions of pounds. I know that that's happening in the UK. I can only imagine it's happening everywhere. what do you think psychedelics are? Our little friends who've come into this reality to remind us that this isn't the only reality there is, Frodo Baggins.
Testosterone.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about testosterone.
Okay.
So I was thinking, right? So as I'm doing these more stereotypically male things, like fucking boxing through VR and like these combat fucking games, it's like unlocking a side of me that I haven't tapped into in a long time. It feels good, you know? I played this multiplayer boxing game, right? The one I recommended you, and I tried multiplayer with some random person.
Yeah.
So of course, some fucking 13-year-old kid.
Yeah. Was he talking to you?
Then I muted him.
Yeah.
But then we started boxing, and of course, like, how do you expect a 13-year-old boy to play the game? And the game actually registers that. Okay. So the first round, I got my ass kicked. I'm like, fuck this kid.
Just because he's smashing all the buttons.
And so then I was like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to play against you in your way. So I'm running around the fucking thing. Yeah. Run away. And I kick his ass. Regardless of that, it really does show the absurdity of the position of testosterone or a man's instinctual drive in the current society. And I'm asking, like, is there a situation in the collective narrative where that is appropriate? Because I also thought, as I was peeing, like, a lot of dudes try to channel that energy to the most ridiculous shit. Like, you know, you go, there's a bunch of dudes out in a bar, I can drink more than you, no, you pussy, then you do more, and then it just becomes idiotic. Or you see husbands like compete against each other at the barbecue, and the wives are like, silly men, like, why are they just doing that? You know, but then it's like, wait a minute, what else can we do? Right. You know, there's no other outlet for that instinctual drive anyways. Yep. So I'm thinking, like, my question is to you, is there a place for it? And what would it be?
So to frame the sort of way of thinking about it, because I have been thinking about masculinity for the last couple of years, and just this week actually, in interviews I've done with people, they've asked me about how to be more masculine, what's the place for masculinity, how do we preserve it? And I sort of realized, chatting to these guys, I was like, you can only ask that question about something that's already gone. Like, we're talking about masculinity like we're on a river and it's gone bobbing past. It's like, how do we save that? Well, if it's bobbed past, it's already gone.
Yeah.
And then I started to think, well, why would it already be gone? So if you zoom out and you look from a broader perspective, the world that we've created as humans, civilization, the progress of civilization, if it's an arrow, every step you take makes masculinity more and more redundant. It makes sexuality more and more redundant, and it makes gender more and more redundant. As I mean, gender, I'm using it properly, the social construct, and it makes biological drives more and more redundant. That's progress. That's technological progress. So there is a crisis of masculinity, but I think the bigger question is, what are we going to do about the fact that we live in a world where masculinity is redundant? The only thing men can do is hold on to artifacts. I hunt.
Symbols of traditional hunter
of what was,
whatever.
Of what was.
Yes,
and it's literally like doing martial arts, where you're holding on to the element of martial arts I never liked growing up was historical artifacts. It was interesting. I learned about other cultures and I learned bits of their language and blah blah blah. But I was like, I want to learn how to fight. I want to wade through this historical shit first. And they're artifacts. There are no more samurai. The samurai sold out to capitalism long time ago. That's a historical fact. Nobody can deny it. There are no more ninjas. There are no more Silat warriors. It's just not required. So we end up with these weird performative actions. And then I see guys younger than me, guys of your age, holding on to the coordinates. Well, I have a beard and I eat red meat and I hunt and I do MMA and I kill my deer with a bow and arrow and I sleep with loads of women and I talk like this and that. And I'm like, but is any of that, it's of no use.
Right.
When was it really of use? The last time it was of use was in World War II. That's a long time ago when you account for technological progress that was actually caused by World War II. So in a sense, as we become more civilized, it is just it's redundant.
Yes. No, yeah, for sure. I think we've talked about this before as well, and we brought up the same points actually, where currently it's not necessary to do that. If anything, the new thing that would substitute that is probably being a fucking programmer or something that
the world is way absolutely. It's I nearly said it's way more feminine. I will be careful.
Yeah, we already got people saying like girls are also competitive and they also have testosterone. So
girls do have testosterone and men have estrogen, but the simple biological scientific truth is we don't use it for the same thing, and it doesn't have the same impact.
like, can I just tap into my stand-up side real quick? If you go out in a bar, do you see the girls like punching each other and like arguing who can take more shots than the next? The guys are the ones like fucking pantsing each other and then fucking shoving their faces to the concrete most of the time. Yes, women are competitive in a very different way. And I think social media is a good way to gauge how that form of competitiveness works.
I really don't understand the drive that people have to say and to try and create a false reality in which men and women are the same. In mathematics, in mathematics, which is a term where equality has meaning, or in chemistry and physics, but really it's mathematics, equal is the same. It means the same. I'm not talking about men and women shouldn't have equal rights. Absolutely should, but
I don't know.
Not the same.
We don't have to go this far to justify, but I'll do it anyway. There are innate universal human drives like competition, but we can't deny that the majority of how women go about it and men go about it are really different. I guarantee there are a lot more teenage 13-year-old boys trying to kick my ass in VR boxing than teenage girls.
Yeah. So the counter argument is people cite outliers. They'll go, "There's great female MMA fighters," and I'd say yes. I was actually watching.
Yeah, dude, all of those girls can kick my ass. Like, what the fuck, man? Dude.
And there's, whatever. There's standard behavioural practices that are considered manly that women excel at, and vice versa. It's undeniable. What a wonderful thing. What a great world we live in. But broadly speaking, masculinity is redundant. So what do we do about that? I like being a man, and I would say for the future of humanity, we have to preserve it, but I think we have to be realistic about what its place would be. So, and sadly, it probably will be symbolic.
So, underneath that, I'm looking at the psychological reasoning of what a man gets from fighting fucking ninjas or like boxing and winning a match. And I think for most men, not all of them, for most men, they get their purpose.
We should have that written on a card. Not all.
Dude, I have a whiteboard.
You just keep throwing up not all, but not all.
I just hold that here the whole...
Just have a machine gun that just fires out not all, not all, not all, not all, not all.
Jesus. Hashtag not all.
Hashtag not all.
Hashtag not all. Where traditionally, most men found their purpose through combat and a hierarchy, right? So that would be traditionally for a lot of how long humanity has lasted. That's how they found their place in society and made them feel fulfilled and not want to die. So that is gone now. Yeah, where does that attempt to fit in the current structure, which I do agree is right? The traditional forms of masculinity are heavily outdated. The biggest, strongest, most masculine man standing against the fucking RPG to the face or 9mm is like, it doesn't matter how big you are. The technology surpasses your capabilities of being a dude.
Well, look at us, our function in the world. Like, predominantly, I teach people how to connect with their emotional literacy. It doesn't matter whether I have big biceps and I can box. Nobody gives a fuck. The only part of me that the world, like outside my friends and family, cares about is psychology. It's therapeutic. You largely entertain people.
That's definitely.
You either make them laugh, or you're singing to them, or you're making art, and so it speaks for itself.
So, would that line of gender roles just like dissipating, or it already has?
Yeah, We're way past that Rubicon now, and I don't. The question for me is like when people come to me with that question because they identify me, they say, oh, there's a masculine man, he must be very protective of masculinity, and I'm like, I don't. That whole argument between men and women, masculine, feminine, it's a dead end. It's a dead end. I am more protective of humanity, like my ideals around humanity. People irritate the shit out of me, but the ideals I have around humanity.
I think where you got that in common.
Yeah, so I'm interested in probably about 1% of the people who are alive, but that 1% or 1% or less, I'm really interested in them. I'm passionately interested in them, but it's a small, and I think we're not going to find our solutions in history and tradition now. The problems we face are so novel in the Terence McKenna sense. Novelty has opened up to us. They're so fucking novel. We have to go psychedelic. We have to broaden our minds. We have to go beyond all tradition, all structure, everything that went before. Because I'm a bit confused and I find it distasteful when men and women come to me and they are nostalgic for traditional times. And I'm like, which time in human history did you think was wonderful when men and women had the perfect balance? It's always been conflict. Like I said to you a number of times, like it's turbulent because it's supposed to be. Sex is friction. So we're probably supposed to kind of irritate each other a little bit. There's always supposed to be that level of conflict there. What do we do now? Like, how do we move forward with it?
Would you be... Okay, so I got a few things. So first, would we agree that everything has become purely symbolic? A lot of what we experience in our roles in our current society is mostly symbolic.
It's mostly symbolic aside from actually having sex and actually making children.
Okay.
If you're talking masculinity, it's mostly symbolic, yeah.
Okay. This even goes beyond masculinity, but we'll stick to that in the meantime. So, for example, traditionally, stereotypically masculine things, big ass muscles, you hunt, you shoot a deer here and there, you do jujitsu, the whole Rogan smorgasbord, the whole Rogan buffet.
Let's call it the Rogan buffet.
The Rogan buffet, you know. A lot of those behaviors would have been very beneficial 600 years ago, further.
Dude, probably 100 years ago.
100. Okay, 100.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, with those same activities, there isn't a direct utilitarian purpose other than for individual gratification and fulfillment.
So we consume masculinity in a sense.
So it becomes symbolic through that manner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So anything that becomes a representation of that, for example, fighting in boxing, taekwondo competitions, airsoft simulation wars and shit, is actually just a symbolic simulation of what it used to be.
Where we're enjoying a little bit of nostalgia. I mean, the games we're playing, they're from like feudal Japan. It's a pretty long time ago. Boxing it's a sport. You're not really trying to kill each other. You're there to enjoy the sport and to make money, and really it's a show. It's a form of gladiatorialism. So
before I forget, I highly recommend anybody to watch this. It's super fascinating. Vice isn't as bad as people make it out to be. They have an agenda, but there's some videos that are really interesting.
Vice is like National Geographic. They have independent documentary makers, and some are good, and some suck, and they bring them together.
There are some hidden gems on the Vice YouTube channel that have the lowest amount of views, obviously. And one of them I just watched yesterday, super fascinating. In Detroit, I would say a few blocks basically started off as sort of like a meme joke type thing, but Detroit has a ton of gang violence. So what a few people decided to do was like, fuck Cooper Street, you know, they brought out paintball guns. And there's like, fuck Cooper Street, and they're like shooting Cooper Street, and then now they're doing drive-bys with paintball guns.
Right.
So now it started like a fucking gang war between paintball guns.
Okay.
And consciously, it was done so people wouldn't die as much.
I would call that progress.
So There are a few layers into this is what I want to tap into. I'll get into it right now. Like, so as I'm doing the boxing and the ninja shit and then like competing and doing those things, I feel this innate fulfillment of whatever my instincts might be. I don't know what the fuck that is. While in a situation like that with the circumstances, this type of like turf war, this type of like combat is kind of innate in the circumstances there, where it's even willing to go as far as to like, let's just replace real guns with paintball guns, and it does the same deed, and it became a way more beneficial substitute than actually fucking killing people with actual guns, and it became like a contract that everybody on the block fucking agreed with.
Interesting.
Right?
Interesting that people would agree with that.
So that's like a symbolic gesture of something that is innate, that needs to get tapped into. Maybe not, but like, I don't know what the question is exactly here, but like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I suppose the question would be like, what do you do with masculinity in a world where it's non-essential? Like, what are we going to do with the innate drives? Because the drives are still there, and what you have is, like, a comment before was the men have fallen asleep. The men have gone underground is what they've done. Their drives have gone underground. Their being has gone underground because it's so not fashionable now. I mean, many of the traditionally masculine behaviors are, not only are they not celebrated and accepted, they're forbidden now. They're verboten. They've become taboo. It's a really good way to get cancelled. So that, yes, you'll see a lot of depressed, what would you say, simping, beta males, depressed males, testosterone. Oh, the other thing I heard on Timcast IRL the other day.
I saw the same thing.
Yeah, did you? Talking about the testosterone levels crashing through the fucking floor.
Summary real quick. There was a thing that BuzzFeed posted the Try Guys. I don't know if you guys know the Try Guys, but it's 4 dudes that aren't necessarily the most stereotypically masculine people. They took testosterone tests, and all of them reached way below the standard testosterone level of men in general. In fact, their levels were lower than elderly men in their 80s.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and these dudes are like healthy, young dudes, but their testosterone levels were lower than a dude in his 80s. Is that a problem?
It's a physical. It can make you very sick. Apart from the fact that, so there's women in the comments saying I want masculinity. Apart from the fact that like there's many women who love masculinity and they want it back, but what the point that we're making, to be clear, is we're not saying that women don't want it. It's non-essential.
Yeah.
Like it was essential. We needed it. We don't really need. So again, we as men, as I said before, we consume our own masculinity. You as women can enjoy and kind of consume masculinity, but you don't need it. It's not essential. It used to be, if we don't have men, I'm sorry to be Anglo-centric, if we didn't have men in the UK who were willing to go to the southern coast of England in the bad part of World War II to fight and die, we thought Nazis were going to land the way that they did in France. And these weren't our prime men. This was the fucking Home Guard. These were older. These were guys my age and older, who, because all of our good men were either dead or they were already fucking fighting in the main war zone. At that point, you go, I really like men. I think men are jolly fine. I think the fact that they like to play rugby and box, I think it's fucking wonderful, because I'm shitting myself because I don't want to learn to speak German and I don't know how well I would do in the German Empire. It's frightening. That's gone. Like, it's just, we're not essential. Masculinity is not. So it's not a question of choice. Many women, I think, well, most of the women I'm in contact with tell me that they miss it. They miss it terribly.
Yeah. The current narrative with, like, I don't know, younger women, Gen Z and stuff, I'm not even actually sure. Like, if anybody is, like, I would like to hear your opinion, because I get these, just browsing YouTube and seeing, like, I'd have to do my research on my current generation and younger and seeing what they're interested in. I'm not even fucking sure, to be honest.
Would Gen Z have anything to miss?
Well, that's what I mean. There's nothing to base it on. No, that's what I'm saying. Like,
even their fathers, they're my age, they would be low testosterone dudes.
that's what I'm saying, and maybe that leads into BTS. You know, no, but like, because I mean, seriously though, like the K-pop, the BTS thing, I would, let's be real here. Are they the most testosterone dudes out there? I'm not saying like I'm talking shit or insulting them, but let's be real. Are they actually like stereotypically more testosterone dudes?
Yeah.
But that boy band and things along the lines of that, I'll fucking fall into that too sometimes. You know, that becomes the idealization of masculinity within that current generation from what I've seen. So I mean, I don't know. Like, well, I don't know what it is. I don't know. Fuck.
There is I remember looking into this when I was at university. There is a long-standing tradition in Asian cultures, and I mean from India right the way across to Japan, of feminine-looking men being considered attractive.
Yeah,
so
right.
even the warrior class wore makeup.
Right,
Samurai
right.
wore makeup. The Indian warriors wore if they were noble,
Yeah.
if they were nobility, they would wear makeup. And they were even studying the artwork, and they showed the portraits of men they considered pretty. But men they considered attractive, quite feminine. Even if they had like the mustache and stuff, there was still
A feminine
there
touch,
was a feminine
edge to it, yeah.
look. So you could, which to me, I've always had this idea, like it's not really about how you look, because guys will come to me and they'll be like, "Should I shave my head? Should I start lifting weights?" And I'm like, I don't. You might just look like somebody who's trying to do something that they're not.
Real quick though, I watched the video of the dude with his like what do you call it? His gains come up, like his swole story, basically.
Right.
It's actually a really good video. Yeah. The dude is like, when I was growing up, I realized that like the bigger guys had more attention from girls, so I just wanted to be liked by girls. And the more I worked out, I had actually more attention from guys than I had girls.
Yeah, guys really like muscly men.
Yeah.
Girls,
Yeah. So like, actually it was a comment. The comment was like, works out to be more attractive to girls, but ends up a platform with 90% guys instead.
God gives with one hand and takes with the other.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, I mean, obviously this is about the cultural clash or whatever too. I mean, the Eastern standards have been different throughout the entire time.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the shift now is coming from the West, where you'll see more women or anybody attracted to dudes in the West being more attracted to more, I guess, physically feminine. Is that what it is?
Oh, you're talking about this K-pop phenomena?
Sure, K-pop or anything along the lines of that.
Well,
like,
the little bits of K-pop that I've seen, just to interject, I don't have a strong opinion on it. I just wonder. They're very colourful. They're very well produced. There's something particularly fascinating to the adolescent mind when you have a group that you can select your one. Like boys, when we were growing up with the Spice Girls, who do you like the most? And girls can choose that one or that one. I like the rough-looking one who looks like he smokes. I like the one with the whatever it is. And singing and dancing is hot. It always has been.
Like the dancing bird, the mating call thing, right? Yeah.
Colour and movement, Stephen Fry would always say. Go for colour and movement, because that's what works in the animal kingdom. And it's really colourful. And when I watched it, I was like, it's too much for me. It's like mainlining Red Bull or something. It's too much sugar for me.
Yeah.
But I get it. I definitely get it.
Yeah.
And do we still produce boy bands in the West? Who's the best
No,
boy band
it's
in the West?
rappers.
Right.
Which are flamboyant in their own way.
Okay.
But it's not. But again, that's also a shift because it's no longer 50 Cent, G Unit, The Game, and it's not fucking Tupac and shit like that anymore.
It's
man.
a lot of guys talking about their feelings.
Yeah, that's right. Hip hop became emo all of a sudden too.
Covered in tattoos.
Yeah.
Talking about the
like
antidepressant.
Rainbow fucking hair, right? Rainbow fucking hair and rainbow clothes and like. So, in a sense, it's actually. What do you call it? Like naturally masculine, because the birds are the ones that are the really colorful dancing ones, right?
Peacocks and ducks.
The peacocks and the ducks.
Yeah, they're the pretty ones. I have no, despite what people think or tend to assume, I have no prescriptive idea over what people should do on any subject. Really, as long as you're not hurting anybody, I don't care. I'm very concerned with people insisting. boys should do this, girls should do this, and those are the patterns. I'm like, no, people are different. Let them find their own potential. Don't be a fucking control freak. Some boys are going to like that. Some girls are going to like that. It's fear of it's people not trusting their own immune system, I think.
Right.
So they control others because they're not resilient. They're fearful.
Yeah. Let me throw a wrench in the discomfort in the chat right now. You ready?
Oh, let's do it. Let's get uncomfortable.
So here's the thing. This comment
is it race or sex?
It's
because
race.
Oh, cool.
So this comment I actually agree with. I'm not calling out this comment for I'm not trying to insult the comment. I totally agree with you. The comment said Pierre would actually look less masculine without makeup and his hair done normally.
I agree.
And I completely agree. I see these comments on this channel and anywhere else that's like, why does he dress like a woman? And if he did it, and I'm like, bruh, if I took off all of this shit, I would look more feminine, and there's a reason why. Because perhaps your Western mindset will look at a body born into this ethnicity and inherently think that's feminine. Now let that soak in.
I think you called everybody racist.
Yeah, let that soak in.
And if you didn't, do it.
But yeah, man.
Oh, Sam Vaknin's here. Richard, I'm making a video on femboys, further elaborating on this topic.
Do you need me to give some input in there?
Yes, Sam, do you need
I'll
Pierre?
go pee real quick.
Speaking
of femboys, I need piss.
If you need Pierre to offer some input, he's willing to. I actually had some really good conversations with Sam back in pre-COVID. Everything before the trauma of 2020 is super vague now. 2019, early 2019. They're available on the channel, where Sam was opening me up to the way things were going, and I wasn't really aware of it. And I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure about this, but everything has been proven to be accurate on that one. It's interesting in Pierre's case, when people ask me, it's always men that ask me, who is he, where's he from, why does he do that thing with the makeup? I'm always like, do you understand how much female attention this man is receiving? Do you understand? My personal opinion is with this, like the makeup and the hair, it's neither masculine or feminine. It's an expression of difference. My personal subjective opinion, I hope nobody finds it offensive, is that women like men who stand out, and men who are of a collective and standard are not perceived as good breeding partners, but a man who stands out is. And it can be an expression of alpha maleness. It takes a bit of balls to walk down the street in the Czech Republic with a full fucking face of makeup. As a man, I wouldn't do it. And I'm qualified to have fights with people, but I wouldn't fucking walk around with a full face of makeup on. So that takes some balls, kid.
Because it's lame.
Because it's lame.
It's dumb.
I saw a picture of, I must pull it up, there's Eddie Izzard with makeup on, but it's a recent one, and it's me. And I was going to post that and say, finally, I let Pierre do my makeup for me.
They're no longer Eddie Izzard now.
They are not Eddie Izzard?
They are not Eddie Izzard.
Who
Eddie
is,
has fully transitioned.
To what?
I forgot her name.
Really?
Yes. I'm not even lying. Like, look it up.
Damn, I met Eddie once. Is he still? Are they still called Edward?
No. Like name change. Like look it up.
I met that human. Very funny. Very nice human. In back when I used to work on a comedy club in Liverpool, it's hard to talk about.
I know. I was gonna say this is like you're hopping landmines right now.
It's hard to talk about the person that you referenced earlier, my good friend. Edward, I'm so nervous I wrote Edward instead of Eddie. You got all polite. Well, search. I went into police mode. This is how I talk to the police. When they would come after a fight on the door, I'm like, good evening, officer. The gentleman in question were being quite rambunctious.
Look at that, dude. So you know what to say.
Yes, Your Honour. The gentleman,
this is so funny to me.
The gentleman in question... Oh, it says Eddie Izzard, her comedic style.
Is it?
Okay,
It's
so
still under Eddie.
yeah, he's still they are still under Eddie, but it is now the female pronoun.
Wait.
I was going to show.
Are you sure?
I was going to show a picture because I look like Eddie and I look like what they would look like in makeup, and now I'm not going to do that.
Still Eddie. Yes.
Well,
Yo, man. It's okay.
you know, sometimes when
You're learning.
when your friend Mickey is rapping, he sounds like 21 Savage. I find it very enjoyable.
Yes.
Will you do any more collaborations with him?
Probably. Like we made one about skiing, but I don't ski.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was hit the slopes, hit the slopes, hit the slopes. You know, but it's also really cold outside, so I don't know if I could.
Well, if anybody has any questions for me about not getting cancelled,
Yo, it's great though.
uh,
I think we've hopped around a lot of laser beams today, and I like it. It's a lot of fun for me. Speaking of which, in VR, the games where you have to dodge shit is so fun, man.
Damn, I'm just processing. I'm actually. It's taken a little moment to process. On my my old channel, I went into the analytics the other day because I've not uploaded any videos there for a while, and I was like, "What's the most popular video running at the moment?" And it's an old video that I posted from 2013 of Louis C.K. It's one of the. It's got like 250,000 views on my channel. Suddenly, you know, YouTube just randomly digs out old videos, chucks it to the crowd.
Yeah.
It's like meat for the sharks. And people love it. It's a piece where Louis C.K. It's a bit where he's talking about filming your kids perform at like pantomimes or whatever. Yeah. And he was like, nobody's watching.
Yes.
You really should watch it. It's on my. If you just go on my channel and look up Louis C.K., he's like, nobody's watching that. And then he gives an experiment that you can do to prove that nobody is watching that. Here's with a question. Raven says, I've been getting brain zaps when I go to bed. I think it's due to making changes in my life due to your 30-day challenge. Any idea what that is? Without wanting to like go, ooh, if you sincerely do everything on the 30-day challenge, you will start laying down new neural pathways. I know it seems so simple. We're just getting up a little bit earlier, doing a little bit of meditation, journaling. But you journaling is you communicating with yourself in a way that is powerful and meaningful. I've had major shifts on this 30-day challenge. Strong emotional shifts. Just from, and what is it? It takes like maybe 20 minutes, half an hour a day. So yeah, it's you will be laying down new neural pathways. And as those neural pathways change, your dreams will become stranger and stronger.
Since this is the cancel podcast, this is the laser beam podcast, I'm going to pick more.
I thought it was on safe. I really thought it was on safe ground there.
Nothing's safe.
I was like, I know.
Hey.
I don't know him, but I met him a couple of times, and
It ain't safe. It ain't safe.
It ain't safe.
But no. But you were okay because she was still Eddie.
Right.
The time you
in
met
my story.
him.
Right.
In
right,
the
right.
past.
And if I said I would look like that person if I had makeup, we have the same shaped face.
Yes.
Right.
I would look like BTS, a BTS crusty reject. You know what I mean? Same thing.
It ain't safe.
All right. You talk about what women want. Masculinity.
Hey, I don't know what.
Men who stand out, these things have been mentioned. What do you think men want? What do you want? Or what you want if you were interested in relationships?
I don't think men are all that mysterious. I think there's Freud said, or it might be apocryphal. It might not be. Maybe he didn't really say it. But the legend is that he says, "I'm going to go to my grave after all these years of research, having never been able to answer the question, what do women want?" Women are more mysterious than men, which is what makes them, for me, as a man who likes women, what makes them fascinating. Men are so predictable.
Let me ask a question in the chat, and what's your opinion? Is there a double standard with women saying what they want in men, and if men say what they want in women?
So we just got out of one minefield, and
No,
you're
I'm like, we're already here, dude. I'm like, let's go.
Fuck it.
Let's go.
Fuck it.
I mean, we're already tapped into it like a few times already. Like, fuck it. Let's keep going. So we got yeses and nos. Because from my perspective, I think if I were to say what I want in a girl, I would get immediately crucified.
I just wouldn't say it. Like,
No, I mean, I'm not, but like,
I would never. I'd never. I'm a space squid, and I'm not sure that I'm in this reality. There are many realities. My tentacles extend far and wide.
honestly, I've just tapped out ever since I got VR, man. Like, goddamn, bruh. I mean,
There isn't really a safe way for us to publicly state what we would or not be doing in our private sexual lives. There would be no happy ending
Right.
there. There's
no
just
pun intended.
Oh yeah. Haha. There wouldn't be a good conclusion from that. So make of that what you will, my dear hearts.
And on top of that, you know, you have the power dynamic discussion as well. So
Yes.
if I were to date anybody with less followers than me, then I'm abusing a power dynamic as well. So I mean, like, what I look for in a girl is what doesn't get me canceled.
The worst wedding vows ever.
Be like, okay, I guess I'll get married.
Yeah.
Like,
I hope you don't get me cancelled. I love you. Don't get me cancelled though. Swag.
people are gonna fucking take what I said there and somehow cancel me for that.
Yeah. Yes.
It's
Because
like-
you're reducing women
Yeah.
to one thing, which is just a potentially dangerous element that could get you cancelled. You misogynizer.
But if I live my life as a hikikomori incel, just video gaming 24/7 with no dating at all, then I'll be perfectly fine.
The hikikomori thing, in that sense, you can kind of see. I think that hikikomori is everywhere. There'll be people in this chat who are on the spectrum, if there was a spectrum, which there isn't, but let's pretend there is, of hikikomori-ness. There'll be people on the spectrum. We're probably on the spectrum for it. It's like an army in a battle that's losing, and you retreat. You find the last rendezvous point. You try and find the last bastion of safety, and everywhere you retreat back to, the enemy finds you,
Right.
breaks down the walls,
Right.
and so there's a kind of a natural psychological submission in it because it isn't safe. Which is why when we had the street shamans last week, one of the things we were trying to say is, let's try and have space where I don't want to say safe space, but
Yeah, you know what I mean.
somewhere where there is some freedom of thought, where we could make mistakes and not be in terrible trouble.
Right.
Like when I called Potent a Nazi.
Yes. What if he is? No. Just kidding, Potent. We love you, man. Potent is not a Nazi for
Potent's
disclaimers term. Yeah.
The least.
Like literally the last person on a lineup that you would
That would be
probably
insane. That would be insane. Be like, did you know? I was like, what? How is that possible?
Yes. Any more questions? The more walking on the edge, the better. The more landmines and laser beams in your question, the great.
Yeah,
Figures.
hit us with the laser beams. There's Potent, the brownest Nazi you know.
He said that, by the way.
Yes, that was Potent.
We're reading a comment. I will highlight that for legal reasons right here, bruh.
So Canelo, apparently when he sets up, he's a great counterpuncher and he uses pulls. So he'll pull his head back and then counterpunch with a right cross and then the left hook. It's beautiful. Do you watch Canelo highlights? The defensive head movement. It's like
I've been trying to get that, like, watch that rhythm thing, you know?
watch some Canelo stuff.
The thing is,
he's amazing.
I filmed myself VR boxing, and it looks fucking dumb.
Oh, I filmed you VR boxing.
No, that was okay, you
Yeah,
know. But
yeah.
like yesterday, because I've been working on my form,
Yeah.
and I punched without the VR
Yeah.
handles and shit, and it looks
Yeah, yeah,
fine.
yeah.
And then the moment I'm in like the
Stress.
gear,
Yes.
like the punches get sloppy.
That's
and then-
sparring. That happens in real life.
Really?
It's exactly the same in real life.
Okay, I
so
thought
you were on the bags, like you see people do beautiful form doing their Muay Thai or boxing on
Yeah.
the bags and on the pads, and they get the ring. They do that.
Yeah,
You panic.
that's exactly how I looked.
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
when I put on I was practicing like fucking
Yeah, yeah.
putting my hips into it and everything, and then the moment I'm holding the fucking stupid ass handles,
Yeah.
stop,
Yeah.
stop.
The only way if you're doing real world training to stop that is you have to have two people at the same level spar with one move.
Okay.
So it'd be like jab counter punch, and that's
Okay.
all you're allowed to do. and you just drill them on the form. You just
Okay.
so that if you think they could do anything and I could respond with anything, as a novice, it's too much.
Okay.
And you start.
Yeah.
But if you're like, I'm only allowed to do this, and if he does that, I'm only allowed to do this. You stay tight.
Dude, I'll tell you, these video games have made me respect boxers like
Cardio?
100 times more.
It's hard.
Cardio, form,
Yeah, it's hard.
holding back.
There's a lot.
You know, being focused, conscious of every movement, head movement, speed. Like,
Yeah. It's hard.
yo, I mean, they make it look easy, but god damn, dude, when you're in the ring, bruh, this is wild. Let's see what else you guys. It's possible to the Gundam solution to war in which the strongest warrior from each nation fights in place of wars in giant mechs. Do you think that one day though, like differences could be settled through VR space, like Ready Player One type shit?
I I mean, to a degree, if you look at drone strikes, they kind of already are.
Ooh, yeah. I
Like,
mean,
we already have mech robots that go out and kill
but
people at their weddings.
but where both ends don't get obliterated.
Right.
Like it's just digital.
Yeah. Well, it's just poor people who die, so they don't count.
Oh yeah.
It's okay. Like as long as you're only killing the lowest classes of
Dude,
humanity.
that drone strike shit's so dark, man.
Yeah.
For-
It's nasty.
It's terrible,
but
man.
it's the logic. Again, we're on this process of civilization where, yes, I could send in my special ops guys, you painted up and they're slitting throats with daggers, but they're all really expensive. And if they get captured, they get tortured and they release important information. Use a robot.
Yeah.
Use a robot. So it's a natural consequence. It's one of the many ways in which technology. It's probably actually the example we should have used earlier. It just makes masculinity redundant.
Right. Speaking of which, as more people are growing up without fathers, maybe that's the origin of the fear of traditional masculinity.
Yeah, that's it's a problem.
So, as I have the greatest thoughts as I'm peeing and then finishing pee-pee,
It's the stream.
it's the stream of consciousness.
It's streaming out of your penis.
Yes.
What did you say? Is it cow?
go. So you brought up a really small point that I'm still like reflecting on when you said they didn't the generation that's now raised up they didn't have a baseline of masculinity to aim
Gen
it
Z,
towards.
Gen Z, yeah.
Or if it is a baseline, it's
Yeah.
like the less traditionally masculine
Right.
fathers
Yeah.
that raise them. So maybe that's why they have a natural inclination to find dudes with that familiar softish energy.
Yeah.
Or on the other end, they completely reject traditional masculinity because their father either never did that or never were around for it, and they don't
Yes.
know like what healthy masculinity looks like.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I don't know.
While secretly and guiltily beating off over porn from
Yeah.
a disturbingly young age with their free-flowing 4K
Yes.
pornography. God knows what it does to these kids' brains. So daddy's not around, or he's around but he's hyperfeminized. Meanwhile, they're consuming
Like brutes in porn.
brutal,
Yeah.
athletic, muscular, steroid-infused pornography.
Without getting too graphic here, I do remember.
luck.
I'm not old by all means, but I have a few
You getting
years
that,
on
bitch?
me. I'm getting them, bitch. Yo, I saw a shift in girls that weren't into being thrown around daddy choke me spank me, and then to a period where the memes were only daddy choke me spank me,
Which is
it happened overnight.
Is a calling for masculinity.
Right.
Thirst.
Right.
Thirst for masculinity.
So then at the same time, the narrative is painted that the dudes who do that are toxically masculine. At the same time, it's training a generation to want that while rejecting it.
Yes. Which makes your sexuality sort of schizophrenic. There is a schism between the desire and that which is acceptable, which is a horrible space to raise people through. It's a kind of psychological torture because you're craving this thing. You don't know why you want it, but you know it's wrong, the ultimate wrong, but you can't stop craving it internally, but externally you're performatively virtue signaling that all
Right.
forms of masculinity
Which
are evil.
which makes that person double down more
Yeah.
in the repressed sexuality
Absolutely.
too.
This is
So
pure
they want
Freud. Pure Freud.
So they even want more violence than
Yeah.
what they originally consumed
Yes.
because the dissonance of what they're supposed to be in
That's right.
day-to-day life too.
Because we're not balanced. We're not integrating. So we're polarizing out to the extremes. And it really hurts people. It really, really messes them up. So the idea of, I mean, just a present, I don't know, like a present masculine male with no performative or outlandish or compensatory displays of masculinity. I don't know. I've not seen many, or I couldn't say, oh, that person over there, that's a shining example. That guy over there, there's a shining example of it. Just don't think it's around.
That's that one thing that I'll kind of fiddle around with in my head. It was like, I mean, from my own experiences of what I've seen online, just people that don't have boundaries anymore, so they expose fucking everything. But like, generally with the people that are so aggressive with maybe hating men or whatever else, like the next post is like wanting the most abusive forms of sexuality that I'm really uncomfortable with, even for me. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know.
It's Freud playing out. I think it's Freudian. It's the fetishist split. The funny thing about human psychology is the more of a taboo something is, the more desirable it becomes.
Right.
It's a much more appetizing thing if you're told don't do it. It's naughty. It's wrong. And if you do it, then you're a naughty person.
Right. Which makes me, I've thought about this, about the whole anti-kink shaming thing. And I'm like, if kinks didn't have shame, they're not kinks anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
They're no longer kinks
Yep.
if you don't shame them. The
Yeah,
reason
that's right.
why they're appealing is that there's shame involved.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
They're underground. I came at that from a different thing when I was dealing with a cocaine addiction in my 20s. I always thought, I wonder if a part of this is the fact that I have to do it secretly and it's illegal. Like, what if everybody just sat with a bottle of beer and a mirror and a razor and everybody was just allowed to snort coke? I was like, I definitely would feel differently about doing it. It's doing that which you are not supposed to do. It seems to me to be the case that human sexuality, in many ways, is based on breaking boundaries. That's where we're at our most excited, when we break taboo.
Yeah.
This is, again, it's Freud. Seems to be banging Freud's drum tonight. Oh, he'd like that, wouldn't he? He was very progressive in his views on human kinks and fetishes. He said that human kinks and fetishes are so ubiquitous, we shouldn't think of them in kinks, fetishes, and perversions. We should just think of them as human sexuality. So his point was, if there is human sexuality, it can't be divorced from some other element, some fetish,
Like
some
there-
perversion, some kink.
Like, there is no just purely appropriate form of
No.
flipping.
No, it doesn't exist.
Like, that, otherwise people would be doing it on the streets all the time. And majority of the people would not be okay with that. Just people flipping on the fucking streets all the
I
time.
don't want to see that.
Excuse me.
People's hairy bagpipes out. It would disturb me. I would find it offensive.
Blow some more questions at us. Hard. No.
Tyrion Lannister, I'm telling you. It's a really good Tyrion Lannister
I really
impression.
want to play a villain in a movie or a TV show or a YouTube video of mine, which I will.
Yeah. You should.
This is okay. Do you worry about environmental factors? Waters that trace with estrogen, herbicides, opioids, and water would play a role in it.
I think we have to consider all of the sources of the problem. It does seem to be the case that there are chemical reasons why men's testosterone levels are dropping.
I think something more powerful is just, it's culture, man. People are really susceptible to things, and anything, I think something way more powerful than just putting some chemicals in the water is just propaganda and cultural influence.
Putting ideology in your mind.
Yeah. I mean, that'll do way more in a short amount of time than a bit of fucking cocaine in the water or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, Richard.
Yeah.
How come you're not dating anybody?
Oh my God, how do you know I'm not? I'm not just lying my ass off whilst being highly promiscuous. I could be. Who knows what the space squid is really doing with his tentacles?
What does dating even mean, though?
Oh, I wasn't going to go there. Whenever on Instagram, when they would ask me on the Q&As, anybody would be like, ask a question about dating, I'd go into a rant about how I thought it was the most disgraceful Western
You did
decadence.
that on the stream that you just recently did, too.
Oh, did I
You
really?
went off for a while on
Did I really?
dating, yeah.
Did I really? On the last stream?
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh yeah, I did a little bit. I went off on romance and stuff, didn't I?
Yeah.
Romance particularly. Dating. Don't know what it is. Don't recognise it. It's not for me. You can keep it. You can shove it up your bottom. Sorry,
Dude,
I don't mean you, the questioner.
I don't know what dating means now. Like,
What is it?
What is that? Like, going out to talk to coffee? Like, what is that?
It is a disgraceful American, consumerist, decadent, corrupt notion for perverts and disgraceful people. It's dating is I find it humiliating.
But the thing is, it's both parties won't even admit to something being a date too. Like,
Right.
no one wants to say something is a date either. So, I mean, like, we've abolished it ourselves. Like, I've never been in a situation like, do you consider it a date? Yes, we can go on a date. No, it's just like, let's just meet up for coffee and see how it is. We can just talk as friends.
You know what I think a legitimate date is? Two toddlers who are put together by their parents for a play date.
There you go.
That's a date. I don't think I've ever been on a date in my life. Ever in my life have I been on something that I'd be like, oh, I'm on a date. I'm dating. And it just doesn't. It's not part of my paradigm. Let's hang out, says Anne Court Caitlin.
watch Netflix.
Richard, would you let Pierre do your makeup?
I technically sort of have in the Slavoj Žižek video.
Well, that's
it's
true.
on this channel.
Yeah, that's true.
But it was like not like glamour makeup necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know. What would my future career in politics look like?
Guys, not everybody's suit for makeup. Like,
I would look like that person that we mentioned earlier, who looks great. Looks great.
who Axl Rose?
That's the one. Heroin was a really good diet for that man. And when he stopped, cheeseburgers. Have you seen him? Have you seen him?
You're walking a line. You're walking a line right now, Bray. That's probably the most controversial that you've said here.
Drugs do seem to keep people in shape, though, darling. Is this the man that ate Axl Rose?
If I were to humor your sentiments, I hear in the late 80s, drugs were rampant.
Rampant.
And a lot of these rock stars
Rock stars.
that existed in the 80s, now, I would assume that there was an ingredient left out in their image from when they were in their 80s, or living in the 80s to years down the line.
Muy interesante. Muy interesante, mis amigos. Este mundo... Yo no entiendo mucho de este mundo. It's a very confusing world.
It's called age, right? It just happens.
It happens. It
Yeah.
happens. What are you going to do, kid? What is your fave 80s song? I was trapped in an Uber the other day. I wasn't trapped. I'd asked them to drive me somewhere. And they played 80s rock music. And on this channel, I've said numerous times, I love all music. That is a fucking lie. There's a type of 80s drive time, middle of the road rock that makes me feel physically sick, like Alex in A Clockwork Orange. And I think it's because my mother used to hammer it when I was a kid, being driven around in the back of her Volkswagen. And I get it, I actually makes me car sick. There's like that. And down to down to down.
I don't know what a fortune gotta love a sound on a ray. Bam, down, girl, sound a roll right up on your face. La, 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 ray.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Me neither, man.
I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I really makes me feel sick.
Don't stop believing.
That one, and then the Chesney Hawkes' "I Am the One and Only" came on, and I was like, I think I'm in pain. I think this song is hurting me.
Yo, I'm telling you, when that shit comes on karaoke nights, I'm like,
Like it? Are you in there? Do you like it?
no.
You don't like it?
No.
I am the one. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know who this is for. I don't know what we're doing with this track.
I can't tell if I'm disgusted with the track or the amount of how people are interested in the track.
That I particularly loathe. How very enthusiastic everybody is for that shit.
I think about the song itself, and it's like probably it's alright, you know. But I think about the sheer joy, the sheer joy that people get in karaoke bars when
Unacceptable.
Oh, stop! It's like believe. They're all feeling themselves. Believe.
They make that face.
And they do the fist.
This is my song, and it's about my life and how I'll never stop believing. Why? Like, what? How? What is this? Really? What? Somebody wrote Bon Jovi before. There's the Cowboy song by John Bon Jovi. This I very, very much like, but I think that was by John Bon Jovi, but I generally don't like Bon Jovi. From Young Guns 2. That I liked very, very much. That's like a bad, what do they call it? Is it outlaw country? This is a type of country music. Why am I asking you?
What fuck do I know?
Yeah, tell me about the genres of country music.
Well, let me tell you. Back when I drove my pickup.
You know, my sister loves country music.
Yeah, I mean.
Didn't I tell you about this? She played a track one day, and it was the lyrics were like, on 9/11, Uncle Sam got stabbed in the back, and so we went and punched them in the eye. And I was like, the good old red, white, and blue, we got some justice for you. I was like, what the fuck is this fucking redneck propaganda? She's like, I just really enjoy country music. I like country music. I'm like, you like this song? The good old red, white, and blue. We got some justice for you. Ring a ding dang.
Does this count as country music, like the like fucking renegade western shit? Like,
Yeah, I think that's outlaw country.
outlaw country.
Yeah,
Is that shit cool?
that's good.
Oh yeah, I like
I
that
like
shit. Like that stuff is great. I don't know if it's considered country though. Like
Yeah. Yeah, it's dark. It's dark. It's good.
With the fucking saddles,
Right, so that
or the
that-
heels
that-
and shit.
That's it. So that John Bon Jovi song sounds like that. It
Okay.
has that thing that you can do. I won't attempt to.
Yeah.
But down. That's how it starts. Yeah. It's got like a Johnny.
Dead or alive.
That's
Yeah,
it. Dead or alive.
yeah,
It's got like a
that's
Johnny Cash sort of a
Yeah.
vibe. to it.
That part's a bit more. I mean, that song in particular is a bit more commercialized, but that feel.
The feel is good.
The feel is good. Look up Black Angels. You would like Black Angels. That band taps into that like sound really well. Makes you feel like you're in the fucking desert with two revolvers ready to fuck shit up.
That's
It's good.
what I'm all about. And a heavy duster looking like Kiefer Sutherland in his heyday. What do you people think about Old Town Road getting kicked out of the country charts when it was doing very well with old Billy Ray in it?
Is that a loaded question?
I'm just asking. I imagine our people would probably think it was a terrible idea to kick it out of the country chart. Seemed a bit unfair to me.
Yeah, of course, man. That's like the epitome of country, dude.
It was a proper
Yeah,
country
you just got a
chart.
trap beat, and they're like,
Oh my god, it's not real country.
So, ask us a question, make it one question long and end in a question mark, and we'll probably...
Hey.
That's 22 we've done.
is Jolene considered country? Like Jolene.
Yes,
Jolene.
that's a good track.
I like that. Like whatever that feel is.
Yeah.
Is this cool?
Well, you like Kurt Cobain, and so there's not that much of a... Like, he
Yeah.
would be informed by
Okay.
that sort of singing style.
Yeah.
It's very raw.
The rawness.
Yeah.
Like I think that the country needs the rawness, right?
Yes.
It's not like the oh rain the bird is rolling. So rain go alone, darling.
Ding, ding, dang.
No dang it, I'll punch you in the eye.
With the good old red, white, and blue. That's Dolly Parton.
Yeah, man.
Dolly Parton. It's good. Of course, it's country. It says in it in block capital.
Have you heard Miley Cyrus cover it?
No.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Dude, she's become. It's crazy. She aged into an ultimate badass. Like
Right.
she's fucking cool now. Like the stuff that she makes now and her general attitude with things is pretty dope, dude.
Did she collaborate with Nine Inch Nails?
Did she?
Yeah, I think so. I think
shit.
so. Well, she was certainly playing Nine Inch Nails chords in a Black Mirror episode, which was nice. Can we talk about how kindness gets misinterpreted for romantic intentions and how that creates a social disconnect? That sounds weirdly specific and personal to you. I've never had kindness. Oh no, that's not true.
I'm gonna say it.
You say it.
Gender dynamics, they're different. They're different.
You watch yourself, Pierre. You just watch yourself, sunshine.
They're different.
Everyone's the same. They're different.
Okay, never
They are.
mind then.
No, it's true. They are different. I have on online. I've had when I've helped people online, it's been misconstrued sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, I think you're in a different position as well as me, but I guess I can speak for a generalization. I think a lot of dudes might not get overall kindness in general in their lives, let alone from who they're attracted to, generally the opposite sex. So when they are given a type of niceness from the opposite sex, their brain, from years of rejection or not being treated nicely, can often come off as like maybe they're attracted because gender dynamics, they're different. You know, where I think if well, it actually goes both ways now that I think about it. Where I think a lot of times too, if a dude is nice to a girl, the girl can think that the dude's flirting too. So in the same way where if a girl is being nice to a guy, they could also think it's flirting. So I guess it does go both ways in a sense.
If we look at biology, in terms of signaling, kindness is akin to intimacy. You usually wouldn't offer kindness is akin to affection, which is akin to intimacy. So it can be a confusing signal.
Okay, so here's another layer that I just thought about right now, where in Slavic nations, people are generally really cold with people, to strangers in general. Like from the get-go, people can be very short with you and at times pretty rude. And kindness is reserved for anybody that they like or friends or whatever else. Where in the West, we prioritize kindness overall, which can actually lead to a misinterpretation of things. Because maybe naturally we are inherently or instinctively just nice to people that we like and have a connection with. But because of the commercialization of the Western world, we're trained to be nice to absolutely everyone.
Yes.
So maybe that tricks the instinctual part of our brain
Yeah.
to naturally link that to attraction. Where out here, there's very little misinterpretation because people are just so cold to strangers all the time.
Yes. Do you remember the Czech girl who was bringing us drinks? We were by the river, and I'd had a couple of drinks, so I was chatting.
Yeah.
And I was being sort of funny, friendly to bring her up during her boring shift.
Yeah.
And then she hung around awkwardly, waiting for me to ask for it.
Oh, she was into you, bruh.
So there can be
She
definitely.
was into you.
Yeah.
She was waiting for like, is he gonna ask for my info right now? What's taking this motherfucker so
She
long?
really was doing that.
I
She
was like,
lingering.
yeah, I was like, yo, you just give her your number, bruh.
He's looking at me like, what did you do that for, dickhead? Why did you? And I was like, I was trying to be
So
funny. I was trying to be nice.
but to go back into it, it's
Yeah.
the Western thing, and
Yeah.
the UK has politeness. You invented it, actually. You invented politeness, and your level of politeness is like layers above, I think, most other cultures, really. Maybe Japan, like, I don't know.
Japan and the Brits probably can meet head to head if Brits are being polite, which we're definitely not always, but if we're making an effort. We understand nuanced politeness, I believe, at Japanese black belt levels almost.
Yeah.
We're the only nation who can, I think, who
Right.
and can put such an emphasis on manners.
Right.
It's so important.
Yeah.
Stifling, it can be stifling, completely stifling.
Well, I'll be fucking real with everyone here right now. When I first met up with you in real life and I saw you talk to waiters and waitresses and stuff like that, like, by all means, I'm not fucking rude. I thought I was overly fucking polite. Like, I go out my way to be really polite in these situations, but something switches in your brain and like, you have a cane all of a sudden and a tuxedo just appears and your level of politeness just surpassed what I'm capable of. Like,
It's years of working shitty jobs in the security industry, and I'm
Okay.
just like, I know what it's like waiting tables and doing tour work and stuff, and it can really make a difference if somebody's nice and friendly. You know, you're trying to get through your shift, and
Yeah,
you
and-
tip people, but you can also emotionally tip people.
someone said the accent helps, and I do think everything spoken in this accent sounds
No,
10 times more polite.
I
too.
code change. I'll be talking normally and it'll be a bit scouse, and then
Yeah.
somebody will come to me like, "Oh, thank you very much, my dear." But then that's also sometimes fucking with people's perception of what a British person would talk like.
Yeah.
So I know that it's an easy way to get a cheap laugh. It's the cheapest laugh you can get. It's be like, oh, thank you very much, my dear. Be like, oh, look, it's English gentleman is here.
You know what's crazy? Sometimes if I really want to come off polite, subconsciously, a little hint of English accent comes in, especially with questions.
Yeah.
Do you mind? Like, you know, just like...
Wow, that's a whole other topic. I don't know that much about it, but when you look at like American nobility, certainly the way it's rendered in like pop culture and TV shows, series, and films, there is a leaning towards sort of emulating English custom, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
Like at
yeah.
that American nobility, the top level of wealth and the bluer bloodlines.
Yeah.
There would be an emulation of
Right.
that. You wouldn't talk with a broad Boston accent or a broad...
Yeah.
You would try and sort of tighten everything a
Yeah,
little bit.
because with the American Western renegade backstory, just the overall tonality of it is, if I just said, "Do you mind?" You know, it could come off kind of aggressive.
Yeah.
Where I will notice this after I do it too.
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Hey, do you mind if I just sit here for a second?" Like it, like
But
this.
you just took the
weird-
bass out of your voice. So we're back to masculinity again. Masculinity can be much like when I talk to kids, I don't talk to children with this tone. I'll say like,
Yeah,
"Hey,
yeah.
what are you doing? What are you playing?" And my instinctively,
Yeah,
like,
right.
you bring it up.
Yeah.
You bring it up because it's just the bass in your voice can be.
Like aggressive, right?
Well, it fills the space, and
Yeah.
you feel the bass in somebody's voice. It reverberates through your whole body.
As you feel violated from it.
Masculinity takes up space. It
Okay.
alters the environment. It pushes things out of its way quite unconsciously because that's what it is. So if you turn that down and you bring your voice up and you become more polite, it changes things for sure.
I
depending on
sometimes
what you're trying to do.
wonder if that's why I get so much fucking aggressiveness on the check phone calls with customer service. Because I'll be like talking in my lower register just naturally and with an American accent, and I think they just think I'm just some fucking like entitled boomer.
I don't speak Czech, but the friend of both of ours who's helped us with a couple of customer services issues, I don't know what she's saying, but I know she's putting in there's a proper word for this in English. She's putting in phrases that are unnecessary but that convey politeness.
Okay.
Good day, how are you? I'm just calling to ask if it's not too much trouble, instead of like, yo.
Hey, I have a question about a pack.
Right, yeah, no.
Dobry den, hello. I was wondering if I had a
Yeah.
package coming. I don't care if you have package.
American dog.
Yeah, American dog. You have package. I don't give a fuck if you have package. You
Yeah.
package yourself. Send it
Yeah.
over to the place. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. I mean, we're in a country where people introduce themselves when they meet, they say their surname, and when you leave at any level of class that I've seen, even in the gym, like pretty rough dudes in the gym, when you leave, they say goodbye and have a nice day. That's not happening in gyms in Liverpool. Goodbye, have a nice day to a fucking stranger. We don't,
Yeah.
that's not a thing.
So this ties into the whole like cultural clash, like globalizing thing, because I learned this voice and fucking assertiveness because I lived in Southern California,
Yeah.
and I needed to do that to get anybody to take me seriously. And then now I'm moving to a place that doesn't enjoy it, so now I have to like deprogram myself again.
It's a savage land. It really is.
It is though.
It is a
it's,
savage
It's
land.
fucking barbaric, man.
Yeah,
like
but it's under layers of social convention and cultural norms and everything, but it is more of a savage land.
right. So then you try to attribute that attitude to a place that doesn't like ask for it, and it just never like lies incorrectly.
No. I do okay here, but I talk here to people as a foreigner the way I would in Asia. So I'll go to lengths to polite it up. Plus, as well, I'm aware that a lot of the Brits that come to Prague, they just drink and puke in the street.
You want to plug?
What am I plugging? You tell us more about your upcoming interview with David
Are
Icke.
you're gonna finish that one?
You can have that one,
Are
darling.
you sure you don't want that?
No, I'll feel terrible tomorrow. Carry on. You can have that. Down you go, Pierre.
I'm gonna go pee while you. I'll pee and drink at the same time. It's called homeostasis.
Somebody screen capture that moment.
Okay.
What did you tell me to do? Oh, I should talk to these people.
David Icke.
David Icke. Yes, David Icke is on the 17th, which is next Wednesday. And I'm doing it in the studio here in Prague. And then I think we're doing Tentacle Quest on straight afterwards. So I'll be talking to him from 4 p.m. UK time. We'll probably do an hour and a half to 2 hours. and we're going to talk about anything and everything. And I've been looking forward to this for a long time. So I'm very, very happy to be speaking to Mr. Ike. I've been working with his lads, Gareth and Jamie, on and off for a couple of years now. Really, really nice lads. Good family, good people. So I'm looking forward to it. What are you going to ask David Ike? I have a list of questions and you'll have to tune in to find out. Jacob says, are either of you two interested in affiliate programs or channel sponsorships? It really depends. We're both very, very protective of our brands, so it must be brand congruent. You're probably best speaking to, of the two of us, you're better off speaking to Pierre first, because Pierre does a lot of my brand management anyway.
What about me?
The person was asking, are we interested in affiliate programs or sponsorship? And I said that they should speak to you first.
It for fleshlights?
If it's not for fleshlights, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Please bring David Ike onto Tentacle Croissant.
That would be quite a mix.
That would be. We could bring his boys on. We could definitely bring Gareth and Jamie would come on for sure. For sure. Will Richard interview David Ike with your own channel too? It won't be streamed here on Tentacle Croissant. It will be streamed on my main channel and on Richard Grannon Philosophy as well. Blackthorn Romeo says, can you imagine a flashlight of it? No, I'm not saying that. No. Listen.
You trying to get rid of his interview?
Just stop it. Are you really paying and drinking?
Explain why men are not compatible with me flipping the way that men are.
Mark,
okay, so
you got that?
She's saying that men who wouldn't be on paper compatible would flip better than dudes that would be compatible. Tension.
Yeah,
friction.
I'm still learning this at my age. I'm still learning this, and in some ways, I'm more open to like more woo answers. There seems to just be a connection with people sometimes, and it's just this raw chemistry. And I think it is instant. I think it is absolutely instant. I had a connection with somebody just a few days ago, and like. I was surprised, and she looked surprised as well. But it was right there. Don't know why.
Friction, man.
Yeah.
Like,
but why?
Because that's what makes babies, dude.
But why do you respond to people who, like, they're not like in your looks category, or you have a prescribed idea of what you think you like, and then you see somebody who's not like that at all, and it's just there. There's soul reaching out to the other soul.
There's a few ways. That's the metaphysical way. Biologically, is maybe like genes wanting to be having the most diverse elements of everything. So there's that. It's metaphysical, but ultimately, I think it boils down to tension, man. Because if you look at examples of like long marriages that fizzle out, and there's nothing in the bedroom, it's because there's less tension.
Right.
It's just kind of there.
And then,
but those with like a bit more fucking fight and shit, like, oh come on, everybody has some life experience in the room, right? The most toxic situations that you've been in probably had the most enjoyable flip, right? Like,
yes.
It's tension. That's what encourages a lot of good bedroom behaviors.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it,
and I do,
the act of flipping is violent. It's tension and violence.
It is the way you do it.
Excuse me. I'm a loving, vanilla individual.
You know those films in the 80s, whenever there'd be a sex scene, the curtains would billow and there'd be candles. And then the best example of this was Tom Cruise in Top Gun. And the man is on top of the woman and they're kissing and they start gliding. When I was a kid in the 80s, I grew up and I'd be like, what are they doing? Do you have sex? And the man's kind of like on top of her, but
that's
doing this.
I thought that's how you're supposed to do it.
There's
Am I doing it wrong?
Many ways, many paths, many masters, Pierre.
Well, even the softest approaches to it, it's still a violent act. Like, you're invading each other's fucking space, and it becomes like this thing, you know? It's not a nice, polite tea sipping activity. And if it is, I apologize. That's what you've experienced.
I thought you were apologizing to the girls you'd had sex with. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm a real soft boy in the inside. Like, I got feelings.
Do you believe that tone of voice and being nice is simply effective because it makes the hearer feel disarmed and accepted and safe? There's a lot to it. I mean, you know, you don't have to be nice to people. Sometimes when I'm in Liverpool and I do seminars there, I'll have the lads that I used to work security with will come and watch the seminar, and sometimes they'll do the security for the seminar. So I'll be chatting to them, and we'll be talking the way we would on a cold night in Liverpool on the door, and then I go into the seminar room and I forget not to do that. But you can't talk like psychoanalysis and emotional literacy if you're talking with a really thick accent and you're trying to say, like, listen, you've got to get in touch with your emotions, you've got to name the emotion to a nuanced level so that you can process the emotion. Otherwise it's never going to go away and you're going to suppress it, it's going to come back, and then you're unconscious, you're going to get fucking suppressed, you're going to be possessed by the shadow side.
That was the greatest thing I've ever heard, man.
Then people will be like, what is this? Is he Scottish or Irish, or what is that gibberish? So you
code switching.
Code switching. You have to code switch. And so then you're in coach mode and you're talking to somebody who's in a vulnerable state. So the aggressive, like, patois it's just not appropriate. You have to be like, okay, let's come down to this level. I know that you're hurting. How do I want you to trust me. I need a safe connection. So the voice tone would encourage that.
I don't know where I heard this, but I think it makes a lot of sense that this overall politeness situation with a bunch of strangers and everybody in general, America specifically, was because of America being founded by a bunch of immigrants from a bunch of different cultures, and they needed a way to sell goods, capitalism, to sell goods to different ethnicities and tribes of people. So what they agreed with was basic, simple language plus politeness, because that shows the lack of danger and it disarms people in order to sell. So a lot of like the politeness comes just purely from capitalism and trying to sell shit.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really easy. It's a lot easier to sell shit when people are nice to you. You know what I mean? So I mean, like, you see how they market shit out here. Yo, bro. Yo, the way they try to sell shit and market themselves out here, bro.
It's a really different world here. Very, very different world. Well, especially with the marketing stuff.
You remember when we got iPhones?
Oh yeah.
And the way that like they would try to like sell you shit, but they didn't even try to sell you anything. Like how did they even go about it?
It was very, very awkward. It was painful to be sold a product here in the Czech Republic, because I feel like maybe I'm too obsessed with it. I really feel like this is the effect of communism. I just keep in my space. And you're you and I'm me. If I talk to you, I could get reported. If I say too much, I could get reported. So the idea that I'm going to be like, hey, I know what you need. This is what you need. Look at this. I think you're going to really enjoy this feature. It's not. The presupposition and the assumption it's considered so boundary breaking and rude here.
Right.
So they'll stand on their island and you're on your island, and they're vaguely signaling the phone is good. Why is the phone? I said to a guy in Czech, why is the phone good? Because it is big. I was like,
it's bigger.
And I was like, that's not a joke. Yeah, he literally said it's bigger. So what makes that better? It's larger than this one, with no laughter or anything. And I'm just looking at him like, work with me, homie. I'm trying to get some banter, some rapport going here. Like, but why? Because I just told you it's big. This one small. This one big.
Well, okay. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, because just like, I appreciate that type of communication isn't commonplace, where everyone in America is always selling you shit all the fucking time. So it was refreshing to see people out here like hold back on that situation.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating as hell when you actually want info and you want to be sold to, and they don't do it. But I mean,
I thought the guy was joking.
Yeah, but like, to be fair, when I remember I got a commission job in selling jeans at Diesel, and or just retail in general. And it was Boundary Bay, Boundary.
Boundary
Damn
Bay,
it, this
Boundary
fucking
Bay,
cider.
Boundary
Boundary
Bay.
Bay, Boundary Bay, yeah.
We broke the boundary between Pierre's brain and his tongue.
It happens. It's fucking. It wasn't natural to me. I don't think it's natural to anybody. Like that sales approach and politeness is like invasive as fuck, and it like I was really uncomfortable the first times like going about that. It's not. It's not fun. It's not natural. It's not real. It's not truthful. Like
it's a dance. It's just a dance. I learned all my sales and marketing techniques from Americans, and
we're the best at that.
Best.
I would say we claim to be the best at everything. We're really good at marketing, aka lying our asses off.
Yeah. Yeah. Sales and marketing. It's the best. It's the best in America. Shooting as well. Apparently.
Shooting like.
Apparently, the lads that I know who are military contractors, they said some of the best training in the world you'll get is in America because of the sheer amount of experience that somebody was telling me. They was giving me comparative statistics of like a special forces soldier over a 5-year period and a SWAT team member in Los Angeles, and he was like the sheer number of engagements and rounds fired is so much higher.
Yeah,
that we go to them for some of the highest level training.
Yeah, another thing that kind of ties into that, I think we were watching skateboarders in Prague.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And I was like, they're good here. There are some people that are really good, but to this, when I went to the skate park in Southern California, the average 16-year-old kid, fucking kickflip Smith, fucking frontside 180 out like nothing, airing out of the bowl, doing judos and shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And then, the standard out here, I mean, it's not as crazy. And I was like, what would differentiate the two? And I thought, well, it's the sheer amount of weather and accessibility to skateboarding. Yeah. Where in Barcelona, they're really good skaters too. But it's just the sheer access to having good weather in order to skate, which allows them to just do it more in the same way of shooting.
Lots of big, flat, open spaces.
Yes.
Where here we have a lot of cobbles.
There you go.
So Barcelona's flat, and I only stayed in Barcelona once, and I stayed in a hotel where there was tons of skaters outside because it was just flat.
Was it MACBA? There's the Modern Art Museum, MACBA.
I think, is that where they're known for going?
Yeah. You only see skaters. It's the Modern Art Museum.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the bit of town I think I was in. Yeah, and they were really, really good. They were awesome. The other thing I've noticed in California is the age at which people get on boards.
Yes.
So even my sister's kids, like one of the kids I think is 14 months, and he can already be on a board. But it has handles. It's not a full scooter. Yeah. And he just rides along on it, and I'm like, I don't think I was doing that when I was that age. It's got 2 wheels. He has to balance to do it.
So skateboarding and guns are just so inherently in the culture.
And that's what we want you to walk away with from this conversation.
But that's the reason why everyone's so good at those things. It's just introduced at a younger age and the accessibility to it.
Yes.
Or maybe if you look at Japan and Korea, the technology is introduced at such a young age too, that the developments there are just...
Could be.
Yeah, man.
Wow, we should probably look at wrapping this up because I need to go eat some food. It's nearly 3 hours. I need to eat
Did you
food.
order anything?
No.
You want a chicken bowl?
No, darling, no. You have your chicken bowl.
All right.
I have boxes of food at home.
Okay, you guys have a good time. Type in croissants and squid emojis if you did.
We want croissants and squid emojis, please.
How long did this go for?
Nearly 3.
Oh shit!
And we've been around. There's been lots of people here tonight.
Yeah, there's a pretty big view count, man.
Thank you all.
Next week for Technical Croissant, we'll be in a professional studio for the first time live, straight after Ike's conversation. Can I sit on that? I want to hear.
You can sit in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you.
If you're
sat behind the scenes, you'll be able to see him. It'll be a bit weird if you can only see me, and you will hear him. But if you sit where our friend sits, you'll be able to watch him as well. Absolutely, you can sit on it. Yeah.
Swag.
But it'll be me in a room talking to a flat screen TV of David.
Swag.
Yeah.
So Black Mirror. What a fucking world, man. Crazy as shit. All right, so next Wednesday we got double content ready for you. And until then, Tentacle Croissantians. We will see you then.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so very much for your time and your attention. We truly do appreciate it, and we very much look forward to seeing you very, very soon indeed. I can hear that in my soul.